Welcome to the interview room, everybody. Thanks for being here on our Thursday Night Live.
Right when this case couldn't get any crazier. What in the world is going on in this doggone investigation? Where are you guys from? Where are you at? And welcome to the #1 YouTube channel on true crime anywhere on YouTube.
If you ask us.
If you ask us.
In our opinion, of course.
In our opinion. In your opinion counts. We have got to take a look at some of the stuff that's been coming out. This is getting nuts. Cuckoo. What do you think? South Arkansas, Massachusetts, Orange County, upstate New York, Florida. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. And we are grateful to each and every one of you. Every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. All our subscribers, our mods, our channel members, our Patreon members. Man, we can't do this without you.
We can't. And we also want to always thank our mods. They keep our chat classy and warm and welcoming for everybody. So we want to thank Miss Sophia, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Teresa M, and Laura Waldy.
Yeah, we're so grateful to all of you, and we're thankful that you're all here tonight. I mean, we have put together, we hope, a really interesting show here. I mean, we've been doing a lot, the Colonel here has been doing a lot of deep dive, and we kind of looked at each other last night. We were like, okay, wait a minute. Did we just think we heard what we heard? And we rewatched the interview once again on the Today Show.
And we also went back and looked at the press conferences at the very beginning of the Nancy Guthrie case with your favorite sheriff and ours, Sheriff Nanos.
Sheriff Nonads. And we're going to bring it all to you tonight because, from the very first assumption, when the first officer got on the scene, there was an assumption of that there was some massive health crisis. And before the crime scene evidence could ever be identified or tape put up, there was like this massive narrative about, maybe there was something that had, taken place the night before, a suggested emergency, and there may have been, emergency services brought over. And we kind of talked briefly about that, but we didn't, I I didn't really process the totality of it yet till I watched the press conference once again.
And it's very helpful going back. Okay, today is day 68 in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. There haven't been any arrests. We've heard different things behind the scene, that the investigation is stalling. We don't really know. We have no idea. But it is helpful to go back, like Chris and I did, to those early press conferences. And also, we're really kind of deep diving into where the narrative came from the very beginning. And you know what? We're just asking questions.
Yeah.
We feel like our job is to ask the questions, pose them, and you guys decide. You guys decide.
Yeah. And so with all the information that we have now, it's helpful for all of us, who are, at a 30,000 foot level, also to come down onto the ground for a moment and ask ourselves, based on our own individual training and experience, all of the different feelings and thinking that you may have had in this whole case. What have you been thinking? What have you been feeling? And then ask ourselves about logical sequences. As you've been following our channel here from day one, I've had a problem, and admittedly so, okay, about sequential things in relationship to how statements are taken, how statements are given. And the reason for that is the only thing I can fall back on, obviously, is my own life experience as well as my own professional work experience. That said, I thought to myself, okay, wait a minute. The sequence of this thing, if we go back and we look at, just the bouncing ball, and I'm only going to harp on this for a couple of minutes. If we just go back and look at the bouncing ball is that night, and we're going to watch the press conferences once again. Not all of it. I've cut it all up, but I've highlighted some stuff for all of us, and we've seen some stuff that nobody has caught yet anywhere in this investigation, at least publicly. Nobody's, the news media is not talking about it, all these other things. And it's always neat when we put information out there, it becomes, kind of like other people will look into it, and then, it kind of takes a life of its own. But that said, we're going to nail a couple of things tonight that you're going to go, oh, crap.
And we all heard it, but, the first time around, but going back now with a little bit of distance at day 68, things kind of jumped out at us that didn't originally.
Yeah. And so we have to presuppose now. Okay, remember the first assumption again in this whole thing, it's an ambulance pickup. Okay. That's the first narrative. Okay. So the first conversation, let's just hypothesize here and play devil's advocate. Not that I like to play the devil's advocate at all. I'd rather play, the other side. But unfortunately, in this situation, I'm going to do that. Let's presuppose. Phone call comes in. Mom's missing. She didn't show up for church. Boom. Activation. Family activation. Go over there. Okay. And doors are propped open. Blood's on the porch. We don't know how somebody got into the house. The sheriff won't even talk about it. Okay. And the first thing you do to your 84-year-old grandmother or your mother and an 84-year-old woman who can barely walk 50 feet on a good day to the mailbox, okay, is jump to the assumption that, oh, it must be a medical situation. So therefore, I must call all of the hospitals.
Now let's just recap. I mean, I think most of you know this, but Chris is talking about what Savannah shared in her interview with Hoda a few weeks ago. And Hoda said, take me back to that first night. And Savannah was saying what she was doing in New York City with her family when she got the call from her sister, Annie. And in what Savannah relayed, and I think we're going to see that again, we're going to watch it again. Savannah says, this scenario that the sister thought that perhaps Nancy had a medical emergency during the night. Paramedics came to take her away, which assuming would account for the doors that were found propped open, and mom nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, so I put on my first responder's hat. And, before I was in the Homicide Bureau, I spent, from 1982 to 1990, 8 years on the street. I spent 2 of those 8 years as a vice detective undercover. And then I got transferred into the K-9 unit. And I spent, from 1986 to 1990, almost 4 years as a dog handler. And that was the best job on the earth, let me tell you, because you're in the middle of everything. So when I got there, okay, in my head, I was like, oh, okay, radio call comes out, whatever it was, 12:00 something in the afternoon. And in that radio call, it's, my mom's missing. Now, I'm going to go into Patrol Officer 101. Okay. I'm there, 1097, on the scene. You walk up, the RP, whoever that is, the family in this case. My mom's missing. Okay, well, what's going on? Well, the doors are propped open. There's blood on the porch. Everything is here. And we looked all around for her, and we decided to call all the hospitals to check to see if there was a medical event the night before. We're assuming it's the night before because what time did you drop her off? Well, blah, 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 9:50. Okay. Here's reality. Station O, this is, Unit 4. What do you got? Can you check to see if the paramedics responded to such and such an address? Negative state, 3 King. That was my old call sign when I was a dog handler, 3 King. Negative 3 King. We had no medical 1145. There are medical aid. 10-4. Hey, we just want to let you know that paramedics weren't out here last night at all. Okay, we had no medical response in any way, shape, or form. Well, how do you know that? Because I just got hold of the dispatch who dispatches all of the medical units, i.e. ambulances, fire trucks, everything like that, because paramedics sometimes ride on the fire rig. And so what did you do? Well, we assumed it was a medical problem. Okay. Now a phone call is made to the sister because they're still there. Remember, Savannah says it was chaos. The cops were there. They were calling 911. And she says, we called all the hospitals. Okay. Well, I'm going to call all the hospitals.
That's what Savannah said.
So here we go. We're going to do a stop and start. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to show you, even before we kick into that gear, is Letitia Stausch, who killed her son.
Stepson. Yeah.
Gannon, right? Who killed her boy. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but check this out in her arrest affidavit. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Can you guys believe this?
Let me go ahead and read it for people who are watching on their phone and it's too small to read. Okay, so Chris, tell us where this is from, and then I'll go ahead and read it.
It's from her original arrest affidavit. So this is a case, as we all know, we all followed it. Linda from It's a Crime absolutely tore this case apart. Okay, but there's one paragraph in the arrest affidavit when they went after her, and guess what it says? Honey, would you read that?
Okay. It says a tip line was established, and investigators received hundreds of tips and leads from the public by virtue of email and telephone calls. As part of this tip line, 2 ransom notes were received by email demanding money in the form of Bitcoin in exchange for Gannon's return. Because remember, they were looking for him.
Yep.
He was considered missing. Investigators took steps to validate these ransom notes, including resolving and geolocating the Internet Protocol IP addresses from the email headers and requesting subscriber information from the Internet Service Providers, ISP, that hosted those IP addresses. One of these ransom notes was sent from a foreign-based email account that's accessible by multiple individuals. Investigators were unable to trace the user of the IP addresses and believe the ransom notes to be fraudulent and strictly designed as a scheme to receive money. Now,
Okay.
Why would you bring this up for the Stotch case?
Okay. The only reason I point this out is, what if somebody watched that coverage? And what if the person, whoever's sending these ransom notes or anything else like that, et cetera, well, we now know definitively this is something that is not uncommon.
In a missing person's case.
And in this case, the little boy was missing. He'd been abducted, allegedly. And look how it was set up here. As part of a tip line, 2 ransom notes were received by email demanding money in the form of Bitcoin in exchange for Gannon's return. Now, I'm not saying that is related to this, but I'm kind of saying that's interesting with this going on. Okay. And when we start seeing all of these notes being sent to, all of these other places, I want you to pay attention, because that is a carbon copy of what's happening in this case. And remember, we always talk about, you've got to look for similarities. You've at least got to think outside the box and say, okay, well, wait a minute. Has this ever happened with a grandmother? And the answer is no. We've never seen it happen with a grandmother. But what we do know now, it has happened with a child. And it happened in Gannon's case.
And that's a pretty recent case.
That's a pretty recent case. Now, the good news is they got some of they were able to peel back the layers, and they got to, that the emails were coming from overseas. Okay. So why is that important? Because you don't want to get caught up. Okay. You don't want to get caught up in the noise. Because if you get caught up in the noise, i.e. over here, remember we talked about 2 trains that left the station. One train that left the station is the FBI, and the second train that left the station is Pima County Sheriff's Office. I said from the very beginning, behind the scenes, and we had the panel on here to talk about it, behind the scenes, there's a lot of this going on between the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Office. Okay. And we're going to show you some of that in real time tonight. So I want to go back to a couple of things. We're going to play this through, and then we're going to jump deep into the deep end, into the water tonight. And just when I thought this case couldn't get any crazier, what did I do?
We found a couple things.
I was like, holy.
Chris found a few things.
I was like, I can't believe what I'm hearing or seeing here. Okay, so let's play through this. And I put my investigative analysis hat on. By the way, that's what I've been trained in. Okay. So when you hear Nonads say, oh, we did investigative analysis. Okay, well, I used to train it. Okay, and so I still do. I used to teach it. Okay. So my mind is clicking, differently. And here's why.
To the day, it was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together, and then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. And she said, no. She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come.
Okay, this verbiage is very important. It is very important. She must have had a medical episode in the night, and somehow the paramedics had come. But listen to her response.
Because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought
the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. Remember, we talked about cognitive dissonance. Okay? She's trying to make sense of what was told to her. And the other thing that I want to point out tonight as we keep going down this lane here, who is creating the narrative? The sheriff is going to call them the family. But really, it's Nancy's daughter and the other family members. Okay? Now, this is coming really right. I mean, this is coming from the horse's mouth. Okay? We're not making this up. This is our opinion. This is what we're listening to in the public domain. Okay? And now we're applying some analysis, thinking out of the box analysis. And we're not saying it's right or wrong. We're just saying even Savannah, didn't think it was right.
It didn't sound right to her.
It didn't sound right to her. And so the question then is, okay, well, what would have sounded right? That's the next question that any logical investigator would apply to a narrative. Okay?
they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So
it didn't make any sense. So what she does is she fills that gap with a what if. Maybe they came, and, took her out the back. Okay. Now, mind you, she's only being told this by her family member. Okay. She's Savannah, who's in New York City and is in deep pain here, is being told a story about what she believes happened by another family member. And Savannah's going months later, it didn't make any sense. It made no sense. Even she's saying it on national television.
You know, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos. And
okay, so again, the narrative is a family member starts calling all the hospitals. Okay, so let's play this out. All right. You get over there. Mom's not there. You see the door propped open. What's your first instinct?
Somebody was here.
Okay.
Or how did these doors get propped open?
All right. And then what? It's your mom. She's 86.
Yeah, my mom's 86.
It's your mom.
If the doors were propped open, I'd be on 911 immediately.
Okay.
And then they go in. Obviously, they would call her, look for her. You hope they went to the front door and saw the blood evidence that was there. And we're told then they called 911.
I mean, the chat. What do you guys think? What's your first instinct? What's your first instinct? Mom's missing. First of all, you've got 2 points of concern. The first point of concern is you're getting a phone call from her girlfriends who say, hey, your mom didn't show up for church. What do you mean? Your mom did not come to the service.
Well, it was a gathering at her girlfriend's home where they watched a recording of the service. So it's a weekly planned, basically it's not really an appointment, but it's a gathering with her, at least one or two other girlfriends.
Okay.
So she never showed up to her girlfriend's house where she always does on a Sunday morning.
Okay. Then rule number 1, there's an emergency contact number for Nancy Guthrie. And that's a family member. Because that red flag to the friends went off like a fireworks. That launched up into the sky. It's like, where's Nancy? Well, I don't know. We better call her daughter.
Well, hang on. They probably texted or called Nancy first, got no answer, and said, well, that's really unusual. She would tell us if she's not coming. Maybe waited a little bit longer and then called her daughter.
Okay. Very reasonable. I'm on board with that. Okay. So let's pretend that's what happened. And let's play that through. She's not here. She's texted. They've called her. She's not there. So now they reach out to family. And they tell the family, hey, your mom's not here.
We're worried.
We're worried. And so immediately they get worried. And they'd go over to the house. Okay. And they find the doors propped open in the back. The sheriff has not told us how they got in the house. He has purposely avoided that completely. Okay. And you're going to hear it. I'm going to show you today again. Well, not again, but this one jumped at me. I was like, whoa, okay, I see what's happening here. Okay. So then the phone call is to the sister while the police are there. We're to assume that the police were not told there was a medical event because they're there. They are on the scene. The first deputy is on the scene. Now, the first thing a family member would have said to the deputy is the back door was open, so we assume mom had a medical event and she was taken out by the paramedics, or something happened and she was taken out the house. Or they didn't say that.
Well, why would they not share that suspicion with the first responders, the first deputies on the scene, but say it to Savannah 2 hours later on the phone call saying, hey, mom's missing?
That is a great, great thought process. And the only reason is, if this was a radio, is what we used to say, you can't outrun the radio.
What does that mean?
If you're running away from the police, the cops just say he's northbound on this street. And now the other guy coming this way goes, I see him. I'm getting it. Oh, now he's southbound. Here's the point. Hey, can you check, i.e. the radio, don't outrun the radio. Can you hook me up with fire, please? Stand by. Then the fire dispatcher will come on. Hey, yeah, this is 302. I'm out at so-and-so, such and such. Again, did we have a medical emergency here last night? Negative. Okay, can you check CAD? Run this address through CAD? And within 2 seconds, that dispatcher can say negative, but we do have a history. And he or she can give you the history of how many times they've responded for medical assistance to that residence in less than a minute, less than 1 minute.
So if that was a suspicion by Annie, who was called to the home, couldn't find mom, called 911, she's the reporting party. And if she looked at the propped open doors and said, gosh, I wonder if paramedics were here and took her out, why would she not offer that to the deputies as soon as the deputies got there?
Well, that's the question. Did she offer, let's play she did. Let's say she says, hey, we thought my mom was taken out last night because there's blood on the porch, and we thought there was a medical incident here. The deputy would have said, okay, well, let me check.
He would have said, hold on, I can check that in about 10 seconds.
He would have had to check.
Right.
Or else he would have been derelict in his duties.
And so
because there's blood on the porch.
Right. So he, in his conversation with Annie at the house, he would have said, no, there was no medical aid called. There was no medical transport from this home to any hospital.
Right. Then why relay that information to her sister? Why
is it a talking point an hour or two later on the phone to Savannah?
Correct.
That's a great question.
That is the exact thought process. Why is this a talking point? Okay. A talking point. And when I started thinking about this, when we got to the press conference, something just blew my mind. Okay. Is there talking point? Are there talking points here? Are there bullet points that we're missing somewhere?
Or are there bullet points that were served up to the public that we are just supposed to digest and not ask any questions and just say, oh, okay, I guess that's the way it is?
Yes, exactly.
Which doesn't happen.
It does
not with
not
the
happen.
media and not with social media.
So in this first piece of this interview, let's be honest, Savannah is struggling with believing it herself. And she even says it like 2 or 3 times. Well, that didn't make sense. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't believe that. I'm going to call the hospitals myself. Okay. Looking for mom. Okay. And her sister says, well, we've already done that. And Savannah's like, well, I'm going to do it. Okay. So let's listen, and then we're going to go forward. I'm going to back up just for a second.
disbelief.
How cold did it get?
Back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, Mike, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home. And really, it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
So they're filling the gap here of somehow the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
And even though they would have been told by the responding deputies that there was no medical transport, there was no call for service overnight, paramedics were not called. Your mom did not call them. They did not show up at this house, and they did not take your mom out on a stretcher or any other way. That's what they would have been told. And yet they're still talking about it as if it could have been a possibility.
And that's why you get the verbiage, the gap verbiage of somehow. Somehow. There has to be a logical explanation for the doors being propped open. That's what Savannah's saying here to all of us. She's trying to make sense of it. But here's the most important part of this, just little brief part here. Okay. Remember, she is being given this information by her family, and her family is transferring this information to the responding officers, okay, or the responding deputy. Okay. So I thought, okay, then the next sequence here, we've got to put together the next piece of this puzzle, and that's going to be the sheriff talking to the media. But listen to the very last thing Savannah says before we jump to the sheriff.
No. And that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
Okay, so chaos, disbelief that mom is gone. She's calling the hospitals. The hospitals are all telling everybody, no, there's nobody here. Okay. I can guarantee you dispatch is calling the hospitals saying, hey, we're looking for an 84-year-old woman. Her name is Nancy Guthrie. So the cops, even behind the scenes, are doing exactly what is being said here. Now, they could be doing that for two reasons. The first reason is they're legitimately looking for Nancy Guthrie. The second reasoning is we don't believe you. And we're doing it to check the box so that we can put in a report. Okay. Well, we called all the hospitals and there was no way that she was there. In fact, we discovered she wasn't there. Okay. So there could be an investigative reasoning behind it as well. Okay. They are also the CAD, their computer aided dispatch. They are printing all of that out. Now, what's critical here will be that 911 call. What was said on that 911 call? We don't know that. They're holding that back. However, we have the very first conversation the sheriff gives about this problem in front of the house that evening. Okay. So
that's Sunday, February 1st.
right. Yeah. And this is later on in the evening. They're working the case. They're searching. They're doing all this stuff. But listen to him very carefully here for a minute. I'm going to point a couple things out, but I think you guys are going to catch it.
How cold did it get? Oh, she was missing overnight, I take it? She was.
Well, she was last seen at about 9:30, 9:45 last night.
9:30, 9:45. Do you know how cold it got last night? Is that a concern?
You know, you guys are going to know
Okay.
that better.
Is that a concern, though?
Hang on.
Well, it's cool right now. 84 years old.
Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
How cold did it get? Oh, she was missing overnight, I take it? She was.
Well, she was last seen at about 9:30, 9:45 last night.
9:30, 9:45. Do you know how cold it got last night? Is that a concern?
You know, you guys are going to know
Okay.
that better.
Is that a concern, though?
Well, it's cool right now. 84 years old. I'm cold. Yeah. No, it's.
So when
obviously-
she was last seen, a family had dropped her off at home. Is that correct?
She was last seen by family at 9:45, at 9:30, 9:45 is what we're.
And did they see her in the home?
Yes.
Okay. That was the very first time when this sheriff was, now mind you, he's been debriefed by not only speaking to the family, because he later says, I was on the phone. I'd been on the phone with Savannah. I've been on the phone with Savannah's security team. Okay. So this sheriff knows sequentially what the appropriate time could have been. And that's why he says 9:30, 9:45-ish. Okay. Now, the big question. Was the family, did they see her in the house? And what was his response?
He says yes. An even bigger point to make is that because the reporters are asking, it was cold last night, are you worried that she was out in the cold? Tells me night one, they still think this is a walk away. With blood on the porch, granted, they didn't know at that point it was Nancy's blood. With blood on the front porch, the first night, he's still acting like it's a walk away. To Savannah's point, Savannah tells everybody in the interview, we had to convince him she didn't walk away.
Right.
She can't walk 50 yards to the mailbox.
50 feet. 50
Whatever.
feet to the mailbox.
I mean, she's not ambulatory very much. I mean, walking's very difficult for her. She didn't walk away. Remember, Savannah says there's no walking away.
Good point.
Sunday night, February 1st, he's out there answering questions. He didn't correct the reporter. If he thought this was a criminal investigation at that point, he would have said, look, it doesn't matter what the temperature is. We don't think she's out here. We don't think she was a walk away. We think somebody came in the house, abducted her, and now we're proceeding as that. So
Yeah, why would you not take that seriously the very first night from a family?
Well, therein lies all the criticism against Sheriff Nanos. Not all, I mean, there's plenty of other stuff he's done. But the fact that night one, it was still being thought of as a walkaway.
Yeah.
And shame on that. Shame on him. With blood at the front porch, would you have thought it was a walkaway?
Of course
After
not.
listening to the family say she can't even walk 50 yards?
Well, he's answering, right? He's talking to the press. That's a great point. He's talking to the press with his homicide guys behind him.
That's even worse.
That's crazy. That is absolutely, bonkers. Okay. And now, but these are the subtleties, okay, where that reporter, thank goodness that reporter asked the question, because it sheds some light on this thought process of, well, wait a minute. Did they just drop her off at 9:48 and 9:50 the garage door closes and that's it? Okay. So this reporter is smart enough to say, this question, and you can hear it for yourself. Listen to the question and listen to his response.
And who called in the missing report?
The family.
You won't, can you say?
All day yesterday.
Well, back up.
So when she was last seen, a family had dropped her off at home, is that correct?
She was last seen by family at 9:45, at 9:30, 9:45 is what we're.
And did they see her in the home?
Yes.
Did they see her in the home? Meaning they dropped her off, last seen 9:30, 9:45. Did they see her in the home? The answer is yes. Yes.
He could have been, the sheriff could have been just filling it up, and just saying, yeah, without either knowing or not asking the family. Because he says, yeah, he kind of throws it in. But let's assume has the information, and let's assume that's what they were told.
Okay, so let's play that out. What does that mean? Do they pull up and watch her walk into the house? Is there more than one? Or are there, who's there? Who's the family seeing her into the home? He doesn't answer that. He just says yes. Okay. Now comes, for me, it was like my mind almost popped out of my head. The next morning, the first press conference where he shows up with the homicide sergeant who's been up all night, his team working this situation. So the answer is in the home? Yes. Okay. Now, some time goes by and Nonads is now at the podium the next morning. Listen to the very first minute.
And who called in the missing report?
The family.
The narrative. Who called in the missing persons report? The family. Okay, so who is the family is my question at this point when I first heard this. Because that would have been my question that night. I would have said to, the first responder, the first deputy, okay, well, who's the RP, the reporting party? The family. Okay, well, who's the family?
It came from one phone call,
Right.
most likely.
Who's the family? Well, the brother and the sister, the brother-in-law and the sister. Okay, where are they? They're over here. All right, I want to go talk to them. Okay. Hey, what happened? What's going on here? Okay. So now, the critical thing would have been, I need you guys to come down to the station. We need to do a deeper dive here. Can you guys, we can drive you or you can drive yourself, whatever you feel you would like to do. It's completely up to you. Okay. But I need to get an interview with you guys. In the interim, can you fill out these forms and write out a statement so I have a written statement that I can kind of start to work off of? Now, I don't know if that's happened. I'm hoping that happened. However, when I heard what you're going to hear here in a couple of seconds, I had a mind blow.
You won't, can you say who?
I don't have that name.
Okay. And
Okay. Now, look at what he's doing. He's reading text messages or he's got something on his phone, and listen to what he has on his phone.
I'm going through some talking points for the family. I want to make sure I cover them. I'm not somebody who does well with the script.
Let's slow that down and tell people. Let me read it. Chris is having a conniption over here with this, if you can't tell. So here's what the sheriff says Monday morning at the press conference. Quote, I'm going through some talking points for the family. I want to make sure I cover them. I'm not someone who does well with a script. Okay, what jumps out to you guys if you're in chat? If you're not in chat, just think about that. But if you're in chat, what jumps out to you? The sheriff starting the press conference saying, I'm going through some talking points for the family. I want to make sure I cover them. Chris?
Well, there's only a couple of answers. One, do they have an attorney? And if so, has the attorney delivered talking points on behalf of the family? For the family, quote unquote. You guys are, I'm going to play it again. And you make up your own mind. But that is breaking news. That is huge.
Let me break it down for people who may not know. The sheriff's role would have been to stand up there and say, thank you all for coming. We are investigating the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. She's an 84-year-old mother and grandmother. She was last seen at her home. Go through all that and deliver the facts. If the family wanted to be at that press conference and they didn't, whatever reason, and so they had remarks that they wanted to make or put out there to the public, then the sheriff should have said, okay, now here's the facts of the case, what we're releasing, it's been 24 hours. Here's what the family, in lieu of standing here next to me at the podium, they want you guys to know A, B, and C. But that's not what he says. So it looks like he's reading the script driven by the family, not the investigators.
Okay. And which in all of my years, I spent 13 years in homicide. I never had talking points from a victim's family. Ever. Do you know why? Right? Common sense. What if they're the suspects? What if it's Letitia Stas? And I'm reading talking points on behalf of Letitia, on behalf of Barry Morphew. We didn't hear the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, get up and say, on behalf of Barry Morphew, I just want to make sure I get all my talking points. I don't do well with a script. Okay. What? And I was like, this is crazy. So let me get this right. The night before, we found the doors propped open, all this narrative. The next morning, he's got talking points for the family.
And he calls it a script. Well, wait a minute. Actors have a script. More than one person has a script. Did everybody get together and write a bunch of talking points and say, this is the script? This is what we're going to deliver to the media?
Well, and here's my question. Is there a lawyer behind the scenes? And if so, I'm sure we'll probably get an email. And guess what? You're going to be a guest on our show. Okay. If you send me an email saying, hey, whatever, no, you're going to be invited here. In fact, we'd love to have you on the show because I want to see those talking points.
But even if there isn't, we know Savannah has a security team. Okay. Even if we don't, why is he delivering talking points for the family? What happened to the head chief law enforcement officer for the Pima County get up there and say, we've got a missing woman. Here's the facts of the case. We think it's criminal. If you've got Nancy, you better watch out. We're coming for you, punk. Words to that effect.
Grady Judge. Craziness. Crazy. I love that guy in Florida.
How about Sheriff Arpaio? If you want to stay in Arizona,
he's
not to stir
too.
the pot, but you know what I mean? What happened to tough talking? I mean, I used to brief my boss, a police chief, before these kinds of press conferences. Okay. At least he knew enough. You always do tough talking if the perp is out there listening and watching. always.
And for those
there's
of
no
you
crying
who are
either.
new to our channel, Karen was
there's
an
no crying.
investigative journalist. Okay.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any crying either.
Spent
Okay.
30 plus years.
Not
And then
at a
she
press
was,
conference, not with a missing grandmother.
then she was a
Period.
PIO for 5 years for a law enforcement agency. So she would be the one that would be handing the chief, hey, here are the answers to the types of questions you would be getting. Not here are the talking points on behalf of the family.
I've never seen it.
I've never
And
seen
you know
it.
what? We all watched this press conference and it actually went right over us.
Yep.
But that's because we were, our excuse.
Right.
Like, we were waiting for the sum and substance of what the heck is going on with the case.
Yep.
But we all missed it. But
So,
we're now back and we're picking this apart. We hope other people do the same thing
absolutely.
and ask the questions we are asking.
So what the local news needs to do, if you're listening, KVO4 and Channel 13 and all you guys out there, the local media, it's your responsibility now to go back to the sheriff and say, well, do you have a copy of those talking points? What points were you wanted to relay on behalf of the family? And if so, where did you get them? The next morning, when you were just at the crime scene the night before, which you declared as a crime scene, and you brought your homicide people in, your alleged best investigators, you brought them in on to this crime scene, okay? Because I can guarantee you when Karen was with the LA Times, she would have plastered that guy, okay? Am I wrong or right?
Yeah. No, it's called hard questions and follow-up questions.
Right.
Don't let them get away with not answering it. And if they walk away at the press conference, then you continue to get them other ways through their PIO. You show up at the office. You don't let them get away with not answering the tough questions.
Right. And so now we're going to go back because it gets worse. Okay. All of a sudden, once I saw that, I thought, okay, my mind just started clicking into a different level here. And I thought to myself, okay, well, we now know that you can have fake demands with fake notes and Bitcoin, okay, in a recent homicide case that was national, all over the news. And now we're learning that, did the family see her in? The answer is yes. And now the next morning, we're learning that the family has some talking points. And it gets worse. Notice the FBI is not behind him on this. And I know why. Because they went at it. I have a source that told me, he said, we don't need your help.
The sheriff said it?
The sheriff said it. But here's the problem. He knew he was getting really bad press over this. And so he asked them to come back.
And that would have been, so this press conference where he starts off with his list of talking points, quote, for the family, was Monday, February 2nd. By the second press conference, the FBI was there.
But that
right?
the second press conference, they're back. Okay. Now, let's continue. I'm going to back it up one more time for those of you who just got here. Listen to the very first sentence as he's looking down at his phone.
My local media.
Back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
I couldn't speak.
Okay. And
I'm going through some talking points for the family. I want to make sure I cover them. I'm not somebody who does well with the script. My local media knows that. We'll get started. I believe it was around noon yesterday, we got a call to the Guthrie residence that Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, was missing. We expended a lot of resources for a missing person that we typically always do. Our search and rescue volunteers, our search and rescue teams.
Okay, so this is where I want to stop just for a second again. Okay, the call comes out as a missing person. Now, The first deputy that goes on the scene sees blood, sees the doors propped open, hears the conversation from the family. Yeah, we called all the hospitals. And she can't walk 50 feet to the mailbox. Savannah's been notified. My sister in New York. My brother's been notified in Vermont. Okay, so they're out of the picture. They're out of the picture. In the officer's mind, the first responder. Okay, what else has happened in the officer's mind? Right? Well, how'd you get in the house? They tell him. We don't know what that is. The sheriff has dodged that bullet from day one. Okay, day one. I suspect they're going to say, we saw the gate open and we went around and we just went into the house. Okay, that's my gut. Because again, we go back to the data point. If the garage was open, we'd have a data point on that garage. And we do not have a data point on that garage. Okay? So now at this point, the next morning, there's a secondary press conference. But the night before, he says, yeah, this is a woman that we believe walked away. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but let me get this right. Sheriff, deputy. Doors are propped open. Blood's on the front porch. 84-year-old woman who's missing, can't walk 50 feet. Family gets a phone call. Okay. All of her property is there. Her phone, her wallet, her purse, everything is there. And it says, what? Oh, she walked away. And now it makes a little more sense when Savannah is saying, no, this isn't a walk away.
Well, she said we were trying to convince the sheriff that this wasn't a walk away. We were trying to convince him something is very wrong. She didn't walk away on her own. Again, to her point, Sunday night not really a press conference, but when Nanos was out at the scene and reporters were there, he was acting like it was a walk away.
Yeah. And so one of two things is happening here. Either the sheriff just literally fell off of a turnip truck and he cannot figure out with his best team ever that this is a suspicious circumstance from the moment he got on that scene. They knew, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because they would not have gotten this guy out of bed at, whatever time it was in the middle of the night and to have him dress up in his general's uniform and show up and then say, yeah, she walked away. We better get some resources because this is Savannah Guthrie's mom. Okay, well, what else do we have? Well, we got blood on the porch. Okay, blood on the porch. And you just go through the list. All right. What else have we done? Well, we called all the hospitals, no medical, nothing, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And then we're to believe, okay, that the sheriff says, okay, well, this as standard operating procedure, let's impound the daughter's car. No, folks, that's not how it works in River City. Okay, that's not how it works. And the reason why is he's going to give us some clues.
Other agencies, Borstar from Border Patrol sent their canines out. They worked tirelessly all day yesterday and all day tonight. I'm sorry, all day yesterday and all last night. To no avail. As I said yesterday, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene.
Now, you see how stupid that sentence is? We saw some things that seem concerning to us as a crime scene, but after we've processed that crime scene, we now know it's a crime scene.
What a bozo. It doesn't make any sense.
I
I mean, seriously.
Okay. We'll just leave it right there with that one.
That we do in fact have a crime, and we're
That we do, in fact, have a crime. Well, yeah, you called your crime scene people out for crimes. Okay. You don't call your crime scene people out for people that walk away. Okay. The crime scene CSI does not come out because of a walk away. It does. If that's the case, you're going to be processing 100 homes every 2 weeks. Okay. This guy he's trying to dance around what he really knows is going on. That's what he's trying to do here. That is it, cut and dry. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is dancing because he knows, wait a minute, there's more here. I can't tell the public. Okay. I can't tell the public, but his ego will not prevent him from standing at that podium with all those microphones and him going, oh man, this is going to help me in my next election.
asking the community's help. This community has always stepped up to help us solve some pretty tough crimes. I'm looking for that again. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. So we make a plea to anyone who knows anything about this, who has seen something, heard something, to contact us. Call 911. We don't need another bad tragic ending. We need some help. Our team is the best. I couldn't speak any higher. I think you know that.
Now, what's interesting about that statement is he still is sticking by that, even though he's admitted mistakes in between this day and some of the last press conferences that he had. Okay. This tells you he's a narcissist. He is a manipulator, and he is changing on the fly. He's adapting and filling in the gaps so that the public doesn't ask questions. And part of the reason now we know why is because he has talking points from the family. This is basically what that means. And whoever wrote those talking points, I think the press should find out who those talking points originated from. They didn't come from the PIO. If they came through the PIO, okay, it's kind of like the answer we got about the car when we kept asking, where is her car? Where's the car? You know what we heard? It's part of the investigation. We will let you know, something to that effect, right? You have all the emails.
Yeah. Yep. Don't ask us. We'll tell you.
Right. Yeah, whatever,
Sure.
look to the left, not to the right. There's nothing to see over here. Okay. And so in this piece of the puzzle here, notice there's nobody behind him. No FBI, nobody. This is about nonads. Hey, it's my time to shine. I'm in my Cub Scout uniform here. I got all my badges on. I got my stars. And by golly, I've got my, crest right in front of me, in front of this podium. with all of these microphones, everybody look at me. I need the help of the public because I've got the best team.
We have done some great work with our partners in the Valley. You know, this community, I have to give a lot of thanks to our law enforcement agencies all across this valley, whether it's the Tucson.
Stop that for a sec. So he's not even talking about this case. He's talking about previous other cases. That's not why everybody showed up with the microphones from coast to coast and this day and time. We're here for the Nancy Guthrie case. And the fact that he's like filling in or killing time or whatever, and talking about other cases in cooperation is just noise. It's just a waste of time. And everyone's like, okay, get on with it. We're here for the facts. It's a press conference. We don't want to hear you waxing on about how cooperative you are with other agencies for other cases. So this guy is just so tone deaf and out of touch.
Police department or some of the smaller agencies, they've all reached out. They've all offered to assist. The FBI, all of them. We work so close with them, and they are all plugged in.
You see, he's saying they're all reaching out to him, remember? And he says, and they called me. And he names the FBI, okay, and we've plugged in, meaning, hey, we don't need you guys right now, but if we do, we'll call you. That's what that's police talk for. Okay. It's not like the FBI is on this right now. Okay. They're not. Trust me. Okay. Because behind the scenes, there is like this hatred for the feds. And you're going to see it so clearly. I'm going to point out, because while everybody was watching him the last couple of days, I've been watching the FBI watch him in the background. And I'm going to point out all that body language between the two FBI agents in the background.
We'll continue to work closely with them. But what I really need is I need this community to step up and start giving us some calls. Let us know if you've seen something. We are right now at a time, and I apologize, everybody tells me I talk too softly. We are at a time where, in this investigation, we're now moving forward where we need to depend on technology.
Okay, that's the mistake right there. That's a huge, huge, huge mistake.
Tell us why.
What if you don't have any technology? What do you depend on at that point? He's saying this because he knows he's got two rookie homicide guys in this crime scene going, which way do we go? How do we get there? It's like the Three Stooges. Okay. And he just kind of leaked it out like, okay, we're at a place right now, i.e. within 24 hours, where we have to depend on technology.
Now, hang on a minute. Have they already interviewed everybody who's been in and out of Nancy Guthrie's house recently?
It's a clown show.
The pool guy, the cleaning lady, if there is one, right? Anybody coming. Have they done any of that in the first 24 hours? The answer is clearly no. So how could they be like all out of the obvious things and good old fashioned police work, interviewing and talking to people, that he's now jumping to tech? The only thing left we got is technology 24 hours after the crime?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
it will be technology that will solve it potentially, on top of solid interviews. It will be interviews that will solve this. The technology will support the interviews.
You've been saying that for many weeks now, Chris. You've been saying until deputies and investigators go talk and re-interview people, all the people, and we know this, there's so many cases where we've seen this, and not for nothing, the Nancy Woodrum case got solved because the investigators went back and re-interviewed people that were in Nancy Woodrum's circle. And lo and behold, they got their suspect. To your point, you've been saying that has to be done in this case. And if it isn't, well, there isn't going to be any progress.
You don't solve crimes by saying, hey, look, we've got DNA over here and it belongs to Frank. Okay. Without first talking to Frank and saying, are we going to find your DNA in that crime scene? And if he says, no way, now you own him. Now you own him. And the technology has now solved it. Just like a cold case, just like C.C. Moore, when the suspects for years and years and years, nope. And they've been locked into multiple interviews, locked in. Within 24 hours, but have you ever heard of the show, The First 48? Okay. And if you've ever watched that show, how many times they lock in. And then they say to the suspect, thank you so much. Have a good night. We'll be back. And you go, goodbye. And you kick them out the door. Okay. And now then other things can happen, right? You can do surveillance and all this other. Look what they did to Barry Morphew. How many times did Colorado Bureau of Investigation interview him? Hey, Barry, you got a minute? Yeah, we just happen to be in the neighborhood. We're coming over. Okay. And what did they get? Right. I was shooting squirrels. I was dropping off this and my tools and all this other stuff. And you see, that's how it was done. And then the technology came in and showed him at the Holiday Inn, throwing the trash out and all this other stuff. This is a real problem in law enforcement today, this mindset. Because they are losing critical thinking skills. If Google didn't say it, or if Amazon didn't show it, and if Walmart receipts doesn't have it, it doesn't exist. Instead of going down to the Walmarts and saying, anybody seen this guy, i.e., like the FBI did at the gun stores, anybody seen these people? Now, 14 of them was way too many.
There were 40 reported.
40 of them, that's even worse. Okay. Because then you confuse people. Okay. But that's gumshoe work. That is good police work. Okay. And for him within 20, now I'm not saying at some point that didn't happen when the FBI got involved. I'm saying at this press conference, he's already made the decision that technology is the only way this case is going to be solved. Why? Did somebody lawyer up? I wonder.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Did somebody say, hey, those questions are getting too hard? Don't talk to my family that way. Okay. I'm a lawyer, Yeah, okay.
Our license plate readers, our camera systems throughout the community, anything, everything. And we will download all that data we have from the home, from different pieces of technology we've gotten, and we will use that to our advantage. It is a crime scene. We know that. She needs her daily medication. And anybody that sees anything that even looks, hey, maybe that's her, just take a quick picture. Take a video, send it to us. The number is real easy here locally. It's 911. You can contact our 88 crime and remain anonymous. You can call me, anybody. I am here to take any questions you may have. It will be a little limited. I apologize for that, but we do have a crime.
Now that was interesting because he injected himself into the middle of this case by saying, call this number, call me. Who in the world would call the sheriff and say, I need to tell you what's going on?
Well, if you lived in a 10-person town and there's one sheriff and one guy and you already knew him.
But his town is huge.
Yeah, it's absurd for somebody to do that. It's never been seen. Why would you? This isn't a personal thing. You don't pick up the phone and call the sheriff. You call 911. You call 1-800, call FBI.
Hey, Sheriff, yeah. For half a Bitcoin, I'll tell you where this and that and this and all this other stuff is. Okay. Is this on a recorded line? No. Okay. Well, whatever.
That we need to protect its integrity. I have here Sergeant David Stivers from our homicide team. He has been up all night, so bear with us if we are a little bit fuzzy in our answers or responses.
And there's the PIO over to the left. That guy doesn't have a job right now because Nonads he's got all the microphones in front of him, and he's not letting that guy to his right or left by looking at the screen. He's not letting that guy talk. That person should be at the podium, or the sergeant or a lieutenant, no higher than a lieutenant. This guy should be at the baseball game or the basketball game again with his family, getting phone calls with updates. Or better yet, he should be on the pickleball court, okay, with his knee pads on and hitting the little plastic ball back and forth. That's where this guy should be instead of standing at this podium.
This is what we're both here for. Any questions you may have. Let's start,
Chair,
please.
recognizing your limitations, but can you elaborate at all on what makes you believe it's a crime scene as opposed to someone who left home and just couldn't find their way back?
Well, I think I told you she is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own.
Let's stop right there. I was waiting for him to say, because he said, quote, there were other things at the scene that indicated, and I was waiting for a struggle, a crime.
All he had to
Right?
say was,
But yeah, go ahead.
no, right? Finish your thought.
Yeah, I mean, he could just say there were things that we found at the house that made it suspicious, and this is being investigated as a crime, right? But I love when he leaks because he kind of drips out at least a fragment of information, because this guy is not answering any questions, as we know. He hasn't given a press conference for months, and when people like us call and ask an email and ask for interviews, the answer is always no.
Well, yeah. And all he had to do is tell the public, look, at this point, we have some unidentified, what appears to be blood on the front porch. It's obvious that there was something that took place. Okay. It's kind of like, and how many times have you done this? 100, where you go to the crime scene and you come out, you debrief the PIO and you say, okay, here it is. I have 2 males. It looks like gunshots, and we have blood, and we have no suspect information at this time. Boom. You go out, you feed the beast, and they say, well, what does it look like? Well, there are 2 deceased males. Okay, we're not releasing their identities yet till the next of kin is notified. There appears to be, gunshot wounds or a knife or whatever, yada, yada, yada. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good day. He can't even tell us that there's blood on the front porch. Okay, during this time.
We know that.
If you're not that.
So basically, he says, well, it's a crime scene. And then the reporter goes, well, yeah, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, we just know it's a crime scene. Oh, okay, what is this? What does this mean? What? And look how he's sitting there.
Plate readers, is there a vehicle associated with this?
When I told you we're now at this phase where we're looking at all the technology, all of that is being evaluated as we speak. Let me say this.
And by the way, you notice he said, are there any vehicles involved in this? And how did he answer the question? He didn't answer the question.
He goes right into technology and repeating himself. We already heard that.
And he forgot to tell him, and yes, we impounded the daughter's car, and we are checking it, and here's the reason why.
We've not just thrown our search and rescue team out there. They are going to be doing some door-to-door with our criminal investigation team. It is not just our homicide unit. All of our criminal investigation detectives. I went out last night to the scene. There were probably 100 cars out there, all from the sheriff's department, all working this case. It takes a lot of manpower and a lot of energy. This team of mine worked throughout the night. They continue to work. David's had zero sleep, but he and his team are working as hard as they can.
Is there anybody else associated with her, a caregiver, family member, acquaintance, who is also missing in some of your
No. The family, all of the family has been very cooperative with.
Okay, again, he's on the talking point. This is a talking point. And guys, you're going to see a theme here. From now on, you're seeing a theme. The theme was who reported, who gave. I want to make sure you guys know, Sheriff, here's our position, because he's checking his phone. You guys saw it just before this one. And now he's into all the family has been cooperative. So here's the question. Who's the family? Who's the family that's been cooperative?
With us, they're working with us, they're staying in touch with us, they have complete access to anybody on this department.
They're cooperating with us. They have complete access to us. They have access to anybody on this department. But here's an interesting thought. He separates Savannah.
Savannah has been in touch with us as well.
Savannah has been in touch with us as well. Isn't she part of the family?
That's a great question. I wonder why he would mentally separate the family from Savannah.
So when he's talking about anything, now we know that, wait a minute, he has two buckets here. He has two buckets here at the time he's standing at this podium. He has the family and he has Savannah. And he's got them in two buckets.
Our hearts go out to them.
And he doesn't know how to answer it because he's, almost like Huda. It's almost like what?
This is their mom. She's, just a great lady from what I've heard. And I feel for the family. We just want to find her and bring her back safe.
Who's we? Does the family want to find her, or did they want to find her?
Sheriff, you mentioned that she didn't just walk out, but is there any additional information that you can give us on what may have alluded to this being a crime scene?
I wish I could. I really do. I know that everybody wants to know certain things, but I can't do that it would be inappropriate at this time.
Are there any signs of breaking and entering or any forced entry, anything like that?
Again, how did the suspect get in? Is there any sign of breaking and entry? Anything like that? He will not go there. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
It's connected to in his mind, he has not pulled the family out of the circle yet. And there's something about them showing up the next morning that he just does not want to touch because DLR does not look right or sound right. Something's off in his mind. And so he's doing the curly shuffle. He's dancing because you should be able to say, it appears the suspect came in through the back door that was propped open. That's not, the suspect already knows he did that. That is not going to be hold back information in the interview when you go to interview this guy.
My theory has been because he's got inexperienced detectives. I don't know if Nanos has ever investigated a homicide in his career. If you don't know, you shut down everything. If you know and have experienced, you're more confident. You know what you can release and what you can't. And that's a lot of what we got.
Yeah. I mean, what's important for the suspect is what's inside that house. Okay. What's inside that house, not the dangling light that he may have knocked off, which the FBI, you know, when they put the drone up and it was there and all of a sudden the FBI had a comment on it. This is again, to your point, Karen, this is the type of stuff where you say, look, here's the suspicious circumstances that we have right now. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And if everybody could hit that thumb right now, I see a text going by, it would help the algorithm. We appreciate you. But not to digress. With what's going on right now, he does not want to say, even we thought the back doors propped open were weird. It just doesn't make sense. Even we thought the calls to the hospital and the paramedic story just was weird. But we're going to cross those T's and dot those I's just in case. And we're going to call ourselves. We're going to have dispatch. We're going to have officers go to the hospital. And that's what you do. I had officers go to all the hotels and pull up, you know, registrations and that kind of stuff. Now, today, it's all electronic. Okay. You can make a phone call and say, hey, do you have Miss Guthrie there? She's 84. No, we don't have a Miss Guthrie. Thank you very much. Click.
I mean, I think though that's more investigative, but maybe, I mean, hospitals is more like immediate medical type of thing. Rule it in, rule it out.
Yeah. And isn't that why it kind of sticks out in your mind? What are you thinking?
Well, I don't want to backtrack. I want to kind of stay
Okay,
where we
let's
are
keep
right
moving.
here.
Okay, let's keep moving.
I, again, don't want to get into that. David, can you see anything here? Do you?
Hey, you've been up all night. Do you see anything here? You know, I mean, just the blood, the door, the suspicious house, and the fact that you've been up all night. Do you see anything here? No, we don't see anything here. Nothing to see here. Move along.
This time it's like still a very active investigation. There were circumstances on scene that we believe are suspicious in nature, I think is the best way to put it.
Blood on the porch? Okay.
That we didn't know about at this time.
But just tell the public, even at this point, it's not hold back information. Okay. Brian Enton the next day goes up there with a camera and takes pictures of it. And then the pizza man shows up and the Amazon man shows up.
And the pool cleaner.
The Amazon guy is taking pictures of the package he puts down. For all we know, there's pictures of the blood in those package pictures.
Unbelievable.
You know, but you can't get this guy to say it.
But we can't really get into a whole lot of details with that.
Do you believe that this was targeted, or they just happened to hit Savannah Guthrie's mom, or if this was just random?
We don't know that. We look at all of that, but we just don't know that.
Do they have cameras at the home?
They do, and we're looking through some of that. Yeah.
With this being an active crime scene, is there any threat to the general public?
Trying to figure out my phone. Well, you know.
What was that? I wasn't paying attention to the question.
Yeah, the question was only, is the public in danger? You got potentially, you know, a killer out there.
My Facebook page is going off.
Oh, yeah, someone's texting me. Hang on.
Hang on.
What?
I got to check my Tinder app.
And this guy wonders why everybody and their brother has been critical of him. Unbelievable. Okay, keep going.
No, I don't think there's an active threat, but I hate to say that because, you know, we're going to canvass that neighborhood and maybe there's a prowler been seen around. There's a lot of work still to do. We don't have any indication that that the public is in danger.
So they have no indication that the public is in danger. So that means they didn't think they were in, they thought they were on the right track. They think they're on the right track. Okay. So let's do the checks and balances. At this point in the juncture of this investigation, They're going to start impounding cars. They're going to start searching houses, and they're going to start questioning the family.
And what does that search look like today beyond what you've already told us about last night?
So we have shut down our search and rescue mission, and we've sent them home to rest. They were out all night. Look, we put all our air assets into this, our drone systems, our aircraft, our helicopters, heat sensors, infrared, everything we've had, we've thrown at this. They're going to step aside. We'll call them out again if we need to do more searching. But right now, we don't see this as a search mission as much as we do a crime scene.
Okay, so he's eliminated quickly. This isn't a search mission. This is a crime scene, okay? And now he's given all the toys that he's thrown. But what I cut out all of the complaints to the board about other things that he needed, other toys. So he has to remind them, I used all of these toys on this case, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's what never made sense to me as a journalist. You don't have the body of Nancy in the home. She was taken. Why not continue the search? Do your crime scene investigation. Obviously, this is a homicide. Why not continue with the search? What if that search was able to find her body? That piece, why can't you do both? Never made sense.
Well, and not only that, remember the
sense.
first night all those coyotes were screaming and yelling while the media was on scene? We don't know what those coyotes were doing. Okay. I mean, it was, I heard it, I think it was on Brian Enton. He was like, I've never heard anything like this in my life. Okay. For all we know, they found Nancy. We don't know that. Okay?
Chris, let me ask you, in all the hundreds of homicide cases you've investigated and you had missing people, you have people that seemingly disappeared, you are called in, you start the homicide investigation, you and the team. Do the search efforts stop or do they keep going?
They keep moving.
Okay, that's the piece of this that didn't make any sense. Obviously, Nanos called the shot on stopping it. He's going to have a lot to answer for, in my opinion, in the future about why that stopped.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait a minute, why'd you make that call so fast? So quickly. So there's more, again, that leans us towards there's more behind the scenes going on. They have a lot more information, granted, that we'll never know about yet. However, he is leaning one way, in my opinion.
Can you tell us a little bit about that map?
That is, and David probably can better
This poor guy's caught in the headlights.
Keep going.
answer it than I, but that is our search patterns, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with all the assets that we deployed yesterday with the search and rescue teams, the map that's on the screen is basically tracks that were followed. Those are all, the colored lines are all ground tracks of different teams and different assets that were used on the ground, to include the canines, the volunteers, and our own search and rescue team. The circles are going to be representative, if not necessarily perfect, of our air circulation with both our helicopter and our fixed-wing aircraft at night, working with the night time cameras. So difficult to see where the house is. The house is basically pretty close to center in that, and then all of the searching that went on throughout the day with those folks out there on the ground.
What this really helps with is our search teams, when they come back and reassess, maybe they've missed an area, we can look at it and say, hey, you know what, this area could use a little more coverage, and so they concentrate again. Our search and rescue team is top notch. They're out every single day. If it's not a lost person, it's a hiker, it's somebody who's wandered away from a care home, whatever it may be. I want to stress to you, and it is really important, Miss Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, is of great sound mind. This is not...
Okay, this is another really important point. She's of great sound mind. Okay? He's level setting her cognitive thinking process. Why would she walk off? Why would, if you believe this woman is solid, why wouldn't you believe, or why would you think that she would have just walked out of the house then and propped the doors open, or left the doors propped open and left her watch, left her wallet, left all of her cards, everything in her house? You know, he's declaring her as a cognitive woman, thought process. It's all there. It's functioning fine. The only limitation she has, according to him, is she needs medication within 24 hours, or it could be fatal. And she can't walk 50 feet.
He's getting this from the family, obviously. But he apparently didn't listen to the family the first night because he still thought it was a walk-off, because he said, yeah, it's cold out here and we would be concerned about her. So, I don't know this, my opinion, it's sort of a guess, but the family probably said, look, stop saying she's a walk-off. She has no dementia. She's very solid mind, and start investigating this as a crime.
Not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack. The family wants everybody to know this isn't somebody who...
The family wants you to know this is not somebody who wandered off. The talking point. The sheriff's not coming to that conclusion. He's taking it from the family.
And it's a cop-out. What he needs to say is, look, the family has shared with us that Nancy is sharp as a tack, right? And move on. He's just like belaboring this point,
Well, and with that is you get tunnel vision. The investigation, look at some of the other, look at Barry Morphew. Tunnel vision at first. Was it a lion? Did a lion take her?
Well,
Right.
I mean, that was cover story after cover story.
And that's the point. He's got a script of talking points somewhere. He doesn't do well following a script.
Nanos.
According to him.
Right. I mean, again, he needs to be attributing this to our investigators. They've talked with the family. The family says she's sharp as a tack. She didn't wander off. We're investigating this as a homicide.
Just wandered off. Her physical limits are based on just age, and we get old, and so it's more physical. But clearly, she is as sharp as a tack.
Do you have her cell phone, and does that present any tracking potential?
We're looking at that as we speak.
But do you have it or do you not?
We do have it.
Can you give us a little bit more of a timeline? Because you said she didn't leave on her own. That she was last seen at 9:45. She wasn't reported missing until noon. But
I believe what happened there was at 9:45 in the evening, her children left her off. At some time earlier,
Her children left her off.
That implies
2.
Yeah, the story's changed multiple times.
that morning, they got a call from somebody at the church who said,
The next morning, they got a call from somebody at the church.
Which is actually incorrect. It was her girlfriend, and Nancy didn't show up to the girlfriend's house where they watch a church service online.
But he cognitively connected the children to the phone call the next morning. The same ones.
hey, your mom's not here. The family went to the house.
The family went to the house. Now remember, he separated the family into 2 buckets a little earlier. So we now know when he refers to the family, he's talking about Annie and her husband. He's not talking about Savannah, so don't get confused. Okay? Savannah's not in this conversation here. Don't get confused.
Thinking they spent some time looking for her themselves before they called us, so I'm guessing maybe they got there around 11.
Okay? They spent some time looking for her themselves. I'm guessing maybe got there around 11. This is really important. This is important because this will change by 56 minutes. Either the cops got it wrong and they told him we got it wrong by 56 minutes. How do you know that? Well, we went back and we interviewed him again. Or I would look through my notes. And if that's the case, a 56-minute discrepancy from a homicide investigator, that guy should be fired.
Okay, let's keep going.
Absolutely fired.
So they did some searching and realized.
Even he's like, so they did some searching and realized, what were you going to say?
If they pulled up and they saw the doors propped open and they weren't highly alarmed, the children, they did some looking themselves. Again, my question is, why didn't they get on the phone and call 911 immediately?
Well, that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
One of them.
Well, it's a question and it's out there.
The other elephant in the room is, how did they get in the house?
Right.
Because we don't have the data points again. Let's go back to that. But it looks like they're doing some searching, quote, themselves. Okay. This is a lot different than they got there at 11:56 and they made the phone call at 12:03.
Which came days and days later.
So it went from 56 minutes to 7 minutes in the timeline.
We need some help, and they called 911.
Do you have any idea what time Nancy would have been taken from the home?
There's a lot of things working there, and I just can't say that.
See, he was asked a direct question. Do you have any idea what time they actually got there or something to that effect? And
What time she was taken from the home?
What time she was taken from the home. And immediately he says there's a lot of working there. And again, he dodges.
Right now.
Has Savannah Guthrie, has she had any threats to herself at all?
We've spoken to her. We'll continue to work with that. She has a security team that's been in touch with us throughout the night.
Okay, now this is the first time that Savannah has been interjected into the possible scenario as to why her mom would have been abducted. This came from a reporter. Savannah says it came from her brother. Her brother says, remember, when Savannah asked him, do you think it's because of me? And he says, yes, sweetie, i.e. because of your celebrity.
It could be.
It could be. The sheriff actually answered this question in a live press conference, and the world heard it. So my question is, where did her brother hear it?
Which came first?
The chicken or the egg? Okay. Because it was a reporter that actually asked the question. And he responded, Savannah's security team had already talked to him. And what's interesting about this comment is they talked to him last night.
But we're not going to dismiss any angles for sure. But right now, immediately, we don't know of anything like that.
Is she in town or on the way here?
She's here.
Can you give us any more? What should somebody be looking for? Because when I was out in the neighborhood, the neighbors are obviously incredibly concerned. But is there anything, a tip? I mean, one neighbor stopped me and he didn't know if he should call you or not. So
Oh my goodness!
But so what should somebody be looking for?
Well, first of all, I'd ask them, go through their cameras. Go through their Ring cameras, whatever cameras they may have. don't dismiss it that, oh, well, we really can't see the house. They still might see something. Maybe it's somebody walking by. Maybe it's a vehicle driving by at that time of day. But go through all your cameras in that neighborhood and tell us if you see something. Maybe somebody already, we know this happens, right? Oh, I saw something suspicious, but I didn't think it was worth calling in, so I didn't call it in. Well, now it's call in anything you've seen or heard. Maybe it's a neighbor telling you, you know, I saw this or I heard that. Call us. Don't tell the neighbor to call us. Tell the neighbor to call us, but you call us as well. We'll put it together. We'll get, trust me, I'm sure we're going to get inundated with a lot of calls. We'll handle that.
Did she live alone?
I believe, yes, she did, yeah.
Were there any caregivers you're normally associated with her?
Well, she has house staff that comes by, takes care of the yard, whatever, in her house and that, but those people will be talking with and have talked to some of them already.
But nobody who's like a live-in or anything?
Nobody actually lives with her, no. Like I say, she's of great sound mind, and she is mobile. It's just, it's a challenge for her to get, as the family says, she couldn't walk 50 yards.
As the family said, she couldn't walk 50 yards, 50 feet. It's a 50.
By herself.
So somebody asked about the FBI if they're involved.
Like I said, we work closely with all of our partners, whether they're...
Question was, are you working with the FBI specifically? I.e., did you call in the FBI? Are they coming in to assist with this case? That was the question. And how does he answer it? Let's hear.
We work with all of our partners.
Yeah.
FBI, ATF, ICE, whoever.
He adds ICE, ATF.
We're not talking about ICE. We're talking about the FBI and a missing woman.
We know that they have certain capabilities and certain resources, just as we have certain capabilities.
Just as we had. He does a compare and contrast against his agency because we all know, by the way, this is the next morning, right? You got the homicide guy that's been up all night or whenever this is. It's like right there, okay, within the first 48. And he doesn't want the FBI involved because we know he told them, we don't need you. We don't want you. Okay. And then he realized, oh, crap, I made another mistake. I guess I should have the FBI here. And you watch, that back curtain right there will have the FBI standing behind him. And this is going to be the really fun part of this program tonight. Get your popcorn because it's going to be fun.
His resources. So yes, we'll continue to work with them, and they've offered assistance to us. We accept that assistance, and we offer assistance. But just last week, the FBI called us to handle a shooting that involved border patrol.
Okay, so
nobody gives a rip about last week's shooting. We're here for Nancy Guthrie. Why does this guy not get it? Sorry, go. I get so infuriated watching this. Like, stop it. Stick to the script.
Are we the only ones? Are we
my
the only ones, you
gosh.
guys? I mean, it's like, I made a tuna sandwich yesterday and I wasn't quite sure, but I wanted a cheese sandwich.
Gosh.
Okay, well, we didn't ask you about a cheese sandwich or a tuna sandwich.
You need to know that. That's just
need
day-to-day routine work for the law enforcement in Pima County in Tucson.
In Pima County and Tucson?
No one's asking that question.
Move.
It's not a
Everybody
question.
move.
Stop putting a layer of, I'm so great. My agency's wonderful. We don't need any help. Stick to answering the questions with the case at hand.
Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science.
We've worked very closely with our partners.
He didn't answer he didn't answer the question at all.
No.
All he says is we work very closely with our partners. But the partners are not partnering yet. Okay, they're not partners yet. They're at the FBI who we don't want anything to do with you guys.
Time that's gone by, how wide do you cast in the net? Statewide, national?
Well, yes, national for sure. Right. So I'm hoping the national media's picked up on this. We've gotten a lot of reports, but statewide as well, with Amber Alerts, things like that.
Amber Alert?
Amber?
You mean a silver alert?
That all of those things we use. Every tool we have, we will use.
Well, this is...
okay.
Okay, so this is is it Not the next day, but the next press conference.
Next press conference in the afternoon, because the FBI called and said,
I
look,
think it was 2 days later.
yeah, here's a hint. Yeah. You need some help, bro.
Yeah, you're drowning.
Okay. I love this guy, this Fed back there with the tie. Okay. Watch him, listen to Nonads, but watch his reactions.
Really, for me, pretty new. All the media attention. So I apologize.
He starts off with, for me, this is all new. But by golly, we've handled a lot of high profile cases before. But this is all new for me. Okay. Well, it's not about you. It's about Nancy Guthrie. Okay. He should have just walked up to the podium again and say, thank you for being here. Here's what we've got on the agenda today. Boom. Get into it. Okay. Instead of, hey, by the way, I combed my hair using a number 3, brush.
To you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities and
speaking in tongues. This is what this guy.
It's just like torture watching this.
And did I tell you I was suspended 37 times?
I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my words and then trying to hold me accountable.
Oh, who would hold him accountable?
Okay, we could do a whole show on that. No, you're only the highest law enforcement elected official in Pima County. Hang on to my words and hold me accountable. Yeah, guess what? You're accountable.
You're the sheriff.
You're the freaking sheriff, okay?
Look,
you got elected. The poor FBI guy back there is like, oh my gosh.
The FBI guy is classic during this. Look at, he's got both hands on his hips. Like,
he thinks it's an entertainment
he does.
show.
It's an entertainment. But look at the FBI guy. He's like, oh my gosh, how did I get this assignment?
For what I say, but I understand.
Hang on, I got to take off the banner so you can see this guy clearly. Hang on for a minute. I got to remove this. Okay, there you go. All right. Hang on. I mean, this is good shtick. You can't even make this stuff up.
So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you in the future.
Just look at him. He looks like he wants to punch his lights out.
This guy's like,
and it just started.
You're going to try your best. Look at, he's got his head cocked to the side, looking over like, seriously, you're going to try your best? How about do your best?
And also more important for you to understand is we have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do. And we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand there's great attention on this, and rightfully so. I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that you would expect us to be doing.
Hello, I'm John Edwards. My spelling is Jonedwards. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI's office here in Tucson. First, we want the community to know that the FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family. The FBI is working alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Department on this incident.
Alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Office on this incident. Okay.
In terms of what the FBI is doing,
this is the scope of involvement, what the sheriff has said to the FBI. This is what you guys will do. Do you understand me? My lab guys have already sent the DNA, everything off to Florida, but we didn't tell you about that. So we're going to tell you what you're going to do. And this is the scope of involvement and support.
we are providing the following support. Primarily, it's analytical and technical support in the following ways. We're downloading and analyzing cell phones, obtaining cell tower information, conducting interviews, and providing any and all investigative support that the Sheriff's Department needs. We are looking at this from every angle, but we need your help. If you live in the area or saw something on Saturday night, the 31st of January, or Sunday morning, the 1st of February, please report it to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
You notice he didn't leave the sheriff's phone number.
Yeah.
You can call Pima County or you can call FBI, and here's the FBI's number.
But what was
Okay.
what was
Which
the
is
sequence of the
fine.
order?
Yeah, exactly.
Call Pima County first or us.
And here's the number.
And here's the number. And if you need to, just call the sheriff. He said you could do that the night before.
Every lead and tip is important. We are aggressively pursuing and looking into every single one. Again, please help us bring Nancy Guthrie home. Thank you.
Succinct, to the point, professional, get in, get out.
Now watch Nonads.
We'll take some questions.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Do you have any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information?
Okay, again, watch the FBI guy because he knows it's going to come hard and fast. I mean, this is like a baseball game now. Okay, the pitcher is the press, and they're going to throw fastballs, curves, knuckleballs, and just watch the FBI guy because he's gonna give you all we need to know about if this guy gets strikes, balls, or if actually he gets hit in the head with a line drive.
That the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
I just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more.
Is there any indication that Nancy Guthrie is still alive? We know the medication played a critical role here. It's been 48 hours. She needs it every single day. Are you looking for someone that is still alive?
We hope we are.
Sheriff Nanos said earlier that you don't believe there's a wider threat to the public. If you're not sure if it's targeted, why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night? We've not heard that. We don't believe that's the case. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
Sheriff, when you reference violence at the site, can you elaborate on that? And also, was there a sign of forced entry, any valuables taken, any bank or ATM cards used after her disappearance?
We're not getting into that. What I'd tell you is, like any crime scene, we processed this crime scene. We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine. And we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us. And we're like you. We're waiting for those returns to come back.
Did you find DNA?
Look at him opening his eyes.
Look at that one.
Body language
I locked
expert.
it right there.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, yeah, you sent it right. We learned about that when we got here this morning, that you sent it to the lab in Florida. And
instead of letting us
we could have
to our
turned
lab.
around. I mean, that one's classic right there. It's like, seriously?
Not belong in that house?
The window of...
He had a long stare at him, and now he's going, that was a knuckleball. I think he got hit by a pitch.
Time from when she was last seen to when she was reported missing. And I know you guys are asking for help from the public. Is there any way to narrow down what time you might be offline? I know there was a report about a pacemaker dinging.
Did you see him look up
Yep,
when the
for
pacemaker?
pacemaker.
Like, don't answer that question.
Like around 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there any way to indicate to people, hey, look around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to help them identify what they might have?
I really...
And by the way, whenever somebody touches their face like this, I can't wait till the behavior panel would blow this up. Whenever somebody does this and then covers their mouth, that's a sign of deception, by the way. Okay. He knows about the pacemaker and he's not going to answer the question, but I'm just going to back it up just for a second. Watch where his hand goes over his face. Whoops, sorry. I don't want to go too far.
Yeah, don't go too
I know the medication played a critical role here. It's been 48 hours. She needs it
Did
every
I blow it? Did I
No,
mess
just
it?
let it go. Just
Okay,
we'll get to
I'll
it.
let
day.
it.
Are you
But
looking
you guys
for
can
someone
watch it again.
that is still alive?
We hope we are. We hope we are.
Sheriff Nanos, you said earlier that you don't believe there's a wider threat to the public. If you're not sure if it's targeted, why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night? We've not heard that. We don't believe that's the case. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
Sheriff, when you reference violence at the site, can you elaborate on that? And also, was there a sign of forced entry, any valuables taken, any bank or ATM cards used after her disappearance?
We're not getting into that. What I tell you is, like any crime scene, we process this crime scene. We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine, and we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us, and we're like you. We're waiting for those returns to come back.
Did you find DNA that did not belong in that house?
The window of time from when she was last seen to when she was reported missing, and I know you guys are asking for help from the public, is there any way to narrow down what time you might be helpful? I know there was a report about a pacemaker dinging like around.
Okay, see, he's thinking about it. He's thinking about it, and he talks with his hands. Watch his hands go to his face and cover his mouth before he answers the question.
2 o'clock in the morning. Is there any way to indicate to people, hey, look around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to help them identify what they might have?
You know, I
Did you see it?
Yeah, he rubbed his nose.
Yeah. That is a sign of deception. He knows what the answer is, but he's not going to
really don't want to get into narrowing down the time, because narrowing it down means we could miss some tips and leads. We're working on with the data we've submitted for investigative analysis. We're working to see if that time can be tightened up. But for now, we're going with what we told you earlier. She was dropped off at 9:30, and she was found to be missing at about 11 o'clock Sunday morning.
Okay, so now that time has been confirmed twice in a press conference, 11 a.m.
Good point. And then all of a sudden it changed.
It did change rapidly.
Was DNA of anyone else found in the house?
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
Anybody strange in the neighborhood? I know you're looking at video, different surveillance camera, anything that we should be looking out, different cars.
And watch the FBI guy still, too. We can listen to him, but watch the Fed.
I have nothing in that regard.
And again, he's covering his mouth. After he says we have nothing in that regard, he covers his mouth.
Demands been made by kidnappers?
We have all kinds of investigative leads we're working on.
Sheriff, we noticed that the camera on the front of the house is missing. Do you believe the perpetrator purposely took the camera?
Don't know that. We're looking into that as well.
It was one of the key pieces of information that camera's gone.
Has that scene been fully processed now? We saw deputies leave around 6 o'clock last night. We didn't see tape go up. An Amazon driver was able to walk right up to the door. Is that pretty standard for how you handle this?
The scene is done. We're done with the residents. If we need to...
Look at the FBI guy.
He's going to eat these words
Look
one
at
day.
the Fed. Look at him. He's like,
are you kidding? We haven't even been in there.
Go back to get, maybe we want to do something with some other piece of evidence there, we contact the family and let them know. But we have turned that over to the family. I don't have the time, but it was sometime yesterday.
Okay, so they turned the scene over right back to the family, okay, right away. And now they have to go back and get consent and all this other stuff. So when we hear that, the family gave them consent, no, not initially. They went at that house with a search warrant. Okay. Once they released the house, that's when the family gave them consent to potentially go back. Okay. But the house was under a search warrant, and he says it.
Did you uncover any tire tracks or any footprints around the house?
No.
Was there any?
They didn't get any tire tracks. They went blah, blah, blah.
take us through
Again, as he's covering his mouth, something's going to be uncomfortable for him.
the timeline that you
Or he knows that they didn't get the tire tracks or something to that effect. Look where his hands are.
have established of the events so far, and with as much detail as you can.
9:45, 9:30, 9:45, we were told she was left at her home by the family. At 11 o'clock in the morning, the family got notice from somebody at church that she was not at church. They went to the home, found her to be missing. That's the timeline.
Okay, now, this is the third time he's locked it in, 11 a.m., okay, that they go to the house. Who's the family? Again, don't get it confused with Savannah. Savannah is not in this conversation that he's talking about. He's talking about the daughter and the son-in-law. That's who the family is in this conversation. Don't make sure we understand that clearly. Okay. So, because there can be a cognitive dissonance that, oh, well, he's talking about Savannah. No, he's not. Okay. He's not talking about her.
From Saturday night, 9:45, we'll say, to Sunday morning, 11 o'clock.
Have you been
That's the timeline. 9:45 in the evening to 11 a.m. in the morning.
Let me get somebody back here, please.
Have you interviewed the people that reported her missing, the people from the church?
That's the family. Oh, from the church as well. We're doing all kinds of interviews. Yes, I'm sure we have.
Have you been able to access the footage?
He says, yes, I'm sure we have. That is not a definitive answer. That's a guess.
From the cameras at the house?
Well, that's all been submitted, and we're doing our best with those companies who own those cameras or built those cameras.
Are there any plans to release those videos from the cameras, from the surveillance? Are there any plans to release the video from the cameras, surveillance footage?
We don't even have them yet, so no, not at this time.
Sheriff,
So that's the
Sheriff, there's a
investigation.
report of a suspicious man.
Okay, so I just want to clarify this right here, what I mean by this. Okay. TNA equals family, S equals Savannah. Yes, exactly. When the sheriff is talking about the family here, remember he put them in two buckets. And if you're just joining us, you got to go back and listen earlier. We talked about this. So when he talks about who went over the house that morning, he's not talking about Savannah. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I needed to clarify that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you made it. It's clear. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
A
confusing.
few doors down last week. Is that anything that you guys are aware of?
I'm not aware of it. My detectives may be. There's a lot of detective work being done, and I just can't get into those weeds or even discuss with you what they may not have learned.
For agents,
Yes, ma'am. There are concerns at the house that concerned us from the early on part of this investigation, and that's all I would tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, is there any history with Nancy needing police at her place or concerns where she was worried about somebody following or
You know, our investigative team has looked into all of those things, and that has not been brought to my attention. So she may have had something like that, but I'm not aware of it.
So nobody in Savannah's security team alerted him to any stalkers or anybody that was a problem or a red flag on Savannah's side of the coin. This is critical as well to understand.
It's a really good point you bring up because Nanos tells us early on day one, Savannah's security team got with Pima County sheriffs and they were already in communication. And this is a day or two later, right?
Correct.
And the question from the reporter is, did Savannah's security team share with you any red flags of somebody who was a stalker, threatening her, would make threats to her family? Okay. Anything overt? And Nanos just answered that no. No. Right?
Yes.
That was his answer. Okay. So then I think where you're going, if you layer over this, Savannah's question from her brother, hey, Cameron, do you think that I could be at fault for this, for mom being missing? And her brother telling her, well, sweetie, yeah, it could be. Is that where you were going?
That's exactly right.
It's makes you think, you know?
It makes you think, because the first question when the security team calls that you're going to talk to them about is, look, I know this is going to sound crazy, but does Savannah have any stalkers? Anybody who would want to do her harm? Okay. And they're going to give her a list, give the sheriff a list. And the reason for that is that's their job as a security team around her. NBC has a security team around her. And that security team weighed in immediately of, hey, I need to tell you about a guy that hangs out or sends letters or does this or whatever. Okay. Now, that would be an absolutely huge red flag for the FBI immediately to jump in.
It would be a huge lead for them to start working on.
That's exactly right.
Now, could Sheriff Nanos have been lying to the media? Absolutely. It's a possibility.
At this point, he's held back, but I would think something that big, he would have said no. And that's why he answered it with his hand.
Obviously said investigators, when they got on scene, they found suspicious circumstances. When the family called originally to report her missing, did they say anything about the state of the home?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a really important point. Let's review that. All right. Well, let me just, if you couldn't hear, the reporter says when the family got there and reported her missing, were they concerned about the state of how the home was found when they walked in and realized Nancy was missing? Right? That was the question.
Anything suspicious?
Anything suspicious. And he brushed it off and says no. Of course, he doesn't mention 2 doors were propped open with the flower pots. Of course, he doesn't mention blood on the front porch, which, by the way, turned out to be Nancy's. Right? Camera off the front porch. The Nest camera with no subscription was taken. It was gone. He doesn't mention any of this.
Fastball's coming at him.
Make sure I'm getting some different people here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there was blood that was found inside the house and you're testing it for DNA.
He's brought, now the press is going, hey, you haven't mentioned this, so we'll mention it for you. Again, the press introduces the blood. Okay.
Well, she's saying inside the house.
Well, she's talking about blood because by this point, the house has already been turned back to the family and Brian Enton has walked up to the porch.
How much blood and where was it?
I'm not saying there's blood inside that house or outside that house. What I'm saying is our team processed a scene like you would think of any crime scene. We go in and we process it. We look for things like that, blood, DNA, any kind of...
He set him up right there. She set him up to get hit in the head with a fastball.
Any kind of physical evidence.
Fortunately, he wears a helmet.
Fingerprints, anything. And all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So far, that what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
We'll take a couple more questions and then the sheriff's got to go.
And the PIO is like, oh crap, he just got nailed with a fastball.
Yep.
We're done.
Can you walk through the evidence that was found at the scene in as much detail as possible?
No, I cannot.
What is the bottleneck to the surveillance footage? I know you said some of it is in the cloud, but you've also been reached out to tech companies that are saying they're cooperating. Why do not have the surveillance footage on media?
That's what I tell them. How come I don't have this? Where's my evidence? It is a process, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here. But I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
The answer that you gave earlier, you were asked if there was
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we have.
Saw last night the family.
Okay, this is the last one where now we have the second FBI guy from Phoenix who runs the entire state of Arizona. This got so bad they had to bring the juice in, okay, to fix the sheriff. Now, this is really important to catch. He's not talking to the public in the beginning of this press conference. He is talking to the family. That's important to understand. All right? Why? Because they have sent evidence off to labs. They have impounded cars. They have searched homes. They have downloaded phones, all this other stuff. And the family, I'll guarantee you, behind the scenes is going, why are you doing all of this? We're not involved. And so he starts this presser off with this comment about and to the family. You have any? Do you have any thoughts?
Let's go off with it.
Okay.
They just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you.
You see, he's not talking to the public. He's talking to the family. They just hurt. And I want you to know, not the public, we're hurting with you. Now, why is this important?
Yeah, and why is he doing it?
It's an empathy play. And he needs their cooperation, and he qualifies it later. Okay? He needs them to keep playing with the sheriff. Stay on my team. Okay? Because I've got your talking points. I've been out here doing what you have been asking us to do behind the scenes. It's my mother. She's not a walk away. All this other stuff. So what he's doing is strategically trying to keep them on the same team. Okay? So he started this whole press conference off by telling them who's watching, I'm trying to keep you here, and I feel your pain. Okay? Now, why is that important? Because something else is happening around the corner here. I can't put my finger on it yet. But you usually don't start off a press conference with, I need to let the family know I understand you're hurting. Okay, so let's talk about the case and the suspect. No, you start a press conference off this far in. I have the FBI here behind me. The reason we're here today is to talk about the progress we're making with this investigation. Okay? But he's inserted the family at the very beginning of this press conference. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to back it up one more time because you have to hear it. It's a quick transition into the next one.
You know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here. But I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
The answer that you gave earlier, you were asked if there was
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we
I
have.
saw last night the family. You know, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you.
Chris,
we
let's
really-
let's try to get the volume up a little bit.
You can't. That's on their
max?
side.
Okay.
Just want mom back. Okay. Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there.
Okay, you guys, could they not hear that?
No, it was very low.
All right, let me. I'll try to get it back here for a second. I'm sorry, guys.
Just go back a tiny
Let me
bit.
try to get it
That's
back.
good. Stop. No.
I know I can't. It's
Go
it's
with-
really
just
sensitive.
Right there. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
That should work. 20. Nope.
You know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here. But I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
Follow up on the answer that you gave earlier. You were asked if there was
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we
I
have.
saw last night the family. You know, they just hurt. Understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you.
Stop.
We really...
I really want you to know that me and my team here and our community are hurting with you.
Right.
That's to the family. That's that one sentence Chris is saying is directed at the family at the start of this press conference, which is highly unusual. And Chris is alluding to that there's a strategic reason why the sheriff did that. And I think we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, there's a reason for it because they have impounded, in my opinion, I've always felt that the fact that they impounded the cars, not Nancy's car, that's a given. Okay. But even then, if she's a walk away, why are you impounding her car? We'll just leave it at that. Okay. And then the second one is, why are you impounding the daughter's car? Now you can argue, well, that's the car that she was dropped off at the house at. Okay, fine. That takes about 2 days to process and you return it. You don't hold it or send it to a shop to put it back together 43 days later, okay, or whatever the timing was. It was a long time. So what he's saying here is, look, I'm talking to you directly because you don't understand what's going on, maybe. Or he's suspicious of something. And he's trying to make sure that he keeps them on the table and keeps the lawyers out.
Just want mom back. Okay. Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the sheriff's department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do.
Stop. This always rubbed me the wrong way as a journalist. Sheriff says, we just want to, quote, get to the bottom of this. It's typically not a message delivered in a potential homicide, missing persons case, high profile. Usually the message that the chief law enforcement person or representative is saying is, if you have her, whoever has her, and then it's like tough talk, right? We're going to come after you. We're going to hunt you down. We're going to find you, and we're going to bring you to justice. That is typically what you hear. You don't typically hear, oh, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. No, there's no sense of urgency in that. There's no deliberate force. We're not messing around, right? Which is what you typically see. So when he said that, I tell Chris all the time, as a journalist, it's not what I want to hear covering this case. Your thoughts?
I think this is a softball He's playing softball. The FBI is going to play softball. You do not tell the public to a career criminal who broke into the house, took an 84-year-old woman out of that house. Let's just get to the bottom of this. We want her home. Okay? Because that guy, let's just play cartel for a moment. Okay? Look at this clown. Okay? What about you? What about you? Okay? Oh, you know, yada, yada. Okay? Or a three-striker, a guy who's been in prison for all their life. Okay? And he's out on parole and he decides to steal Mrs. Guthrie. Okay? He's not talking to a hardened criminal. He's talking to somebody who is soft and he thinks he has a conscience. The BAU has scripted some of this conversation. You're going to hear it when the FBI guy gets up. And listen how he talks to the suspect.
But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley.
Now, what he did there was just stuck a hot poker in the FBI's eyes. Because what he said is, I have another investigative team. I've called them in, and that's a task force. Basically, what happens in Arizona, there's a team up in the near Sholo, near all those towns up north. Okay, it's called MCAT. Okay, they have this other acronym for it down in the valley, and what it is, it's individual officers assigned to this team. In a critical incident, they all are called out together to help assist, okay? All he has to do is look over his right shoulder and say to these guys, I need 200 agents. But he didn't do that. He's telling them, I don't really need you guys because I've got my own guys. That's what he just did.
Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department.
And he's naming them.
Yeah, of course.
This is so irrelevant.
And look at the agent.
Nobody gives a rip. Yeah, the guy on the other guy.
The guy
like,
who works
what?
with him all the time. See that guy? He's staring at him like, okay, I see what you're doing. And remember, I talked about this early on, guys, about tit for tat. Okay. Who released the pictures of the guys on the porch? Cash Patel. Okay?
Not Pima County.
That guy on the right in the blue jacket, he checkmated him. He gave him a checkmate, okay, by giving the pictures to Cash. And who released those photographs? It was the FBI. It wasn't Pima County Sheriff's Department, okay? And then what did Pima County Sheriff's Department do? I hate saying this, but it's reality, okay? What did the Pima County Sheriff's, and by the way, it is Nanos' fault for this. Those two guys in the background want to find Nancy Guthrie, as does the sheriff. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, okay? But this guy's more concerned with poking them in the eyes than working together.
Yeah, this is just more documentation of how unprofessional Nanos is. Has nothing to do with the investigation. It's ego. It's ridiculous. But side note, adjacent story is the recall effort with Nanos. And now the Board of Supervisors sent him a list of questions. And Nanos has less than 2 weeks to either put it in writing or go in front of the Board of Soups and answer their questions. And it's all about leadership and lack thereof. So this is just the games that this guy plays. We're pointing it out, but I do want to actually stick more to what we're focused on. But it's this
important
program
because that guy, that agent to the left, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department, there's so many of them. And they,
because he's disappointed because he has to work with this agency on other cases. And look at him, he's biting his lip almost. He just wants to say something, but he can't, and he knows it.
are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, you know, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this
Meanwhile, I didn't tell him about the DNA.
thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex.
Now, you see, at the conclusion of all of that, he has to turn and play the game like the FBI's with us. We're all working. And how does he finish it? It's important everybody knows their role, i.e., stay out of our way.
Investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The result.
Did you see the FBI guy?
He's like, well, it wasn't with our, it wasn't at
with us.
FBI lab.
Oh, they could have handled it in 5 minutes.
Blood on the porch, that was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted.
So there's more items, plural, that have been submitted.
We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing.
The FBI asked, can we go see it as well?
And it wasn't Saturday night, it was Sunday night.
And
so he got that wrong.
Yet this guy is cooperating with the feds for Nancy Guthrie's return. No way.
But it is a very important case to not just me. And
I was afraid of this from the very first time we covered this. I mean, was I not?
Yeah, for sure.
And even the panel, when we brought the panel up on this, it was like, you got to be kidding me.
My team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects.
Now, this is important because in this statement, look at the FBI guy. Again, the guy in the gray coat. I wish I could get him on here, but he will never come on. The poor guy.
They won't tell you the sky is blue, so he ain't coming on our show.
I'll tell you. And so anyway, but listen to how carefully he frames this. Okay.
And I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered.
Including phones.
And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So,
And that could be because you have contradictory statements and evidence pointing you in a different direction. You're going, well, wait a minute, we thought it was this. And so you send it back to the lab. No, they don't. They pick up the phone and they say, explain what this is.
and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review.
He's full of, that's not happening with all the evidence coming back.
In that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at?
This, again, he's dodging what should be said. We've got some evidence coming back. It is contradictory to our investigation at this point. We're not going to go into those details, but we are looking into it, and the investigation is moving forward.
So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family.
Again, he still maintains the family. Okay. Savannah is not in this conversation. Again, keep this in mind. He put her in a different bucket early on.
Just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home.
This is consistent from what we were told by the family. Okay.
And we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes. Because that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed.
So this guy operates from assumptions.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So it detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal?
Here's a question.
Why is he introducing if it could be an animal?
Because it could be out. It's outside.
Obviously. Right?
Which camera is it? Is it the one at the front porch?
That he hasn't told us was taken?
Correct. Again, he's confusing reality here. And look at the FBI guy.
He's side-eyeing him.
Yeah, he's like, dude, what are you doing?
I imagine that's possible. We don't know.
Is it an animal outside? I imagine that's possible. So this guy operates on assumptions with an imagination.
Know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
Her app disconnects from the phone.
And what he should have said is it's a distance issue because that pacemaker was no longer within the distance that it was going to be picked up on the app.
6 a.m. The family checked.
Now, 56 minutes later in this conversation.
Yep, this is brand new at this point when this was reported.
Which he has been reporting in 3 separate press conferences, 11 a.m. Now 56 minutes has been added to this time frame. Everybody copy that?
On Nancy, discovers her missing, and at 12:03.
See, he just glosses right over that. 11:56 now. the family goes to check on Nancy and discovers her missing. So now it's gone from 11 a.m. where they search for her and they did their own little thing to, well, we got there at 11:56 and we made a phone call at 12:03.
PM, 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department.
So let's see here. Let's see, about 7 minutes. So it's gone from 56 minutes to 7 minutes. So they called all the hospitals, and this is one of the reasons we're doing this show. They made all those phone calls. They called their sister in 7 minutes or thereabouts. Let's give them 15 minutes.
So, well, the Dateline piece, during the Dateline piece, Savannah said she received that phone call around 2 p.m.
Okay, that's even worse.
So it seemed like it was a couple of hours after her sister called 911. I don't think I'm wrong on that. I think I have that accurate.
Okay. So, but this is a huge discrepancy. This is a huge, again, another problem.
I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene and we start our response with our search and rescue.
So about 12, whatever it was, they're 15. The cops are on the scene. They're there. They see the scene, quote unquote. What did they see? They see the gates open. They see the blood. They see the discrepancies within inside of the house that caused him to think she was taken out of that house. There was a crime scene here. Did they see all of that? Well, if they saw it, who didn't see it?
Rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here? Or
No, he's saying ICAC came the day of to Nancy Grace's house.
Nancy Guthrie's house.
Guthrie's house. No, he's got the timing off. ICAC wasn't there. They went to Annie's house. And so he's tying them together, and what he's trying to do is justify why ICAC's there. And I've said that from the beginning. Why is ICAC on the scene?
This member, everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort.
So the detective response is out of sequence in this press conference. Okay. ICAC was not there that night. Okay. He's talking about the sequence of events. Okay. They were not called out as part of the search and rescue, all hands on deck. Remember, they were called out because they needed a U-Fed.
Yeah, and it was several days later.
And who had the U-Fed? ICAC.
I think with that, let me make sure.
Let me check my list. And look at the FBI guy.
He's trying to see what's on the
I want
list.
to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene.
Okay, that's Nancy's car. What about Annie's car?
Court orders, we pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle.
Oh, we forgot to tell you about that.
Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter for dinner, and we.
The daughter for dinner.
It doesn't make any. Oh, he's a grammatical nightmare.
The family residence, the
She can't even
daughter
talk.
for dinner.
It makes no sense. I hate sentence fragments. Drives me crazy. But body language experts tell you that when people are being not truthful, they use fewer words.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm just saying. I'm not implying that the sheriff is lying about this. I'm just saying it's extra annoying listening to it.
That driver and spoke with them and got that information.
Got that information. Yeah.
He doesn't say we believe the Uber driver had nothing to do with this,
or we confirm the information.
we confirm the timing of all this, and it adds up, or it doesn't add up.
We got that information.
You guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up.
You know how this thing went down? I'll put money on it. You mean you guys closed the scene down? Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, we'd like to run our evidence response team. The team that is from around the world. I mean, we can get this done for you. Okay. But you shut it down? Yeah. Oh. And now you're going to tell the world it was their fault? And they want it to go back to the house. They wanted to go take a look at the house just because?
Up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things.
But I didn't make any mistakes.
Oh, here's the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all.
Why not? Why? I don't understand why they don't just come out and say, look, the back door was left open. The family went around, discovered it open, and they went in. Why is this being held back? The suspect knows it's open. Okay. Why is this such a big deal?
Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information.
Okay, I love this guy. Now, the great part here is listen, the important part on this, the reason I cut this out or cut it to this piece is listen to how he addressed the suspect. Again, remember, Nanos starts off with the family, empathy. Blah, blah, blah. Listen to this guy.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix Division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain.
Now, wait a minute.
After seeing your message last night, obviously Savannah, or the first video with the 3 kids, the 3 siblings, that's what he's talking about.
They helped them prepare that message.
Okay.
They're in the house with them
Yeah.
when they're doing that message. So who's he talking to?
Why is everybody starting off talking to the family?
Bingo.
Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home.
That's almost verbatim of what the sheriff just said.
Yep.
The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family.
Okay, that's an important piece. And if you're just joining us, I want to show you something from this case. We showed it earlier, but you probably weren't here. A tip line, and this is from Gannon.
Stotch.
Stotch.
I can't say it right. Stotch.
All right.
This was what we've got up here. If you're just joining us, this was part of the affidavit, an arrest affidavit. Am I right?
Yep.
Of Letitia Stotch. That's the case where the stepmom killed her stepson, Gannon. And so Chris found this. So what this says is a tip line was established and investigators received hundreds of tips and leads from the public by virtue of email and phone calls. As part of this tip line, 2 ransom notes were received by email demanding money in the form of Bitcoin in exchange for Gannon's return. Investigators took steps to validate these ransom notes, including resolving and geolocating the Internet Protocol IP addresses from the email headers and requesting subscriber information from the Internet Service Providers, the ISP, that hosted those IP addresses. One of these ransom notes was sent from a foreign-based email account that is accessible by multiple individuals. Investigators were unable to trace the user of the IP addresses and believe the ransom notes to be fraudulent and strictly designed as a scheme to receive money.
Okay, so the reason that's important is this has happened in the past where families go down this road and they pay ransoms or they try to get, and some of them could be what I call noise. Okay, that is an example of 2 notes that were sent to get the child back, and they want to be paid in Bitcoin. Sound familiar?
Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made 1 arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available.
Okay, now the important part. The other important part. This is all important. He's going to change his tone. And he's not talking, or he's talking to the suspect, but he's not talking to a hardcore lifer, 3-striker, somebody that's been in the joint forever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He is going to be polite. You see, he's hardcore with the guy they arrested in LA. Said to you imposters, okay? And then he goes into the next phase. He starts it off with, hey, you, okay? But listen how he delivers It's almost like he's looking for empathy.
To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you.
To anyone involved, do the right thing.
And we saw that on Savannah's video messages throughout this ordeal as well.
She is an 84-year-old grandma. As if this guy had a conscience. He's talking to somebody they think will resonate internally. And it's interesting that Savannah, during that show, said, well, the second note was almost an apology. Okay, or something to that effect. Remember that during the interview with Hoda?
I think it was, yeah, the Dateline piece had that.
Or the Dateline piece. Somewhere in there was like this positioning of, well, we thought the suspect was almost apologizing. Okay. Now, this tells us about the suspect and what the FBI thinks about this person. And this goes back to the victim risk continuum and the fact that you don't leave the house yet. Because they're not thinking this is some hardcore across the border cartel hit with, all these crazy people that will, do crazy things.
Yeah, to your point, they would come off much stronger, right? Like, we're coming after you. We're going to hunt you down. We're going to find you. We're going to prosecute. We're going to nail you to the wall.
They wouldn't.
That's what you would hear if it was a gang, a cartel, a hardcore, right?
Well, right. They would not ask him to reflect on his grandmother.
And do the right thing.
And do the right thing.
Please return Nancy home.
Please return Nancy home. You do not go into Pelican Bay prison in a max 5 prison, because that's the kind of people that would do this, and say, please, why did you kill that guy?
Okay, so the person they're looking for, they're trying to appeal to their conscience, and they don't think they're a hardcore criminal. And the reason we know this is the way they're delivering the message.
Correct. Exactly.
Thank you. So the ransom note that was sent out there, obviously every lead in this case we are taking extremely serious.
But not everyone is presented to the family. Why this one?
Because this was the ransom
And this is probably why they have not released the BAU profile.
that came in, and it had facts associated with a deadline, with a monetary value they were asking for. So at that point,
what were some of those facts, if you can, because there's been a lot of speculation, as you know, if you could set the record straight.
yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics. It's very important that we keep this investigation moving forward, and we don't want to put more facts out there that others then can use to try to profit from this.
Who else would know about an Apple Watch?
Ed Lavandera.
Hey, Agent, I want to follow up with you real quick on that. There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different, or do you think there's different authors behind all of them, or?
So the one that went to the media is the one we are currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
Yeah, sir. Michael Rivas from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out anyone she was with on Saturday night?
You know, we've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't, but no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that.
Now, he pawned it off to the investigators. My investigators, have not cleared anybody, basically is what he said. I just rounded it up there.
You don't know where the reporting of a forced entry came from. Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
And is there
Why?
Obviously, he's holding it back. He thinks only the perp knows. He doesn't want to put it out.
What if they have a garage activation?
Well, that could be a problem. But we don't know. We're just asking the questions.
any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the technology that you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys?
These are great
other than
questions.
really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, you know, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence, so we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Okay, that's different. There's other biological evidence. We don't know what that is.
I think he's talking about the mixed DNA.
Sheriff Nanos, you've said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that.
I say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by
But
the
in
front door.
front of the house.
Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that it was her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication.
He doesn't have to be careful for HIPAA. It is a exigent circumstance. The law is clear. She's missing. She's 84. Again, that was a dance.
Daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5, and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
And for the
No, that'll be
for
that
the room,
question.
sir,
For
your name?
Kagan News, we have Craig Smith and
I'll get
Athena.
that for you. I'll get it.
Craig?
Kagan, Athena, Craig
Oh,
left.
okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
You know, it goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just
Why did he introduce a woman into the suspect list?
You know, he's trying to be like politically correct.
You think?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim.
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the gamut. So.
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case?
This was right after saying nobody's involved.
There were reports earlier this week, and you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this
This was a direct question about the son-in-law.
And he doesn't answer it.
Well, actually he does.
case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody. The Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever, everybody. It's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's
We have no suspects 2 minutes before this, but
everybody's
everybody's still a
still
suspect in our eyes.
just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family's been very cooperative. They
Again, he keeps using the family. This is why this is important. Family's been cooperative.
They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm.
We want that relationship to continue. People can be mean out there. It could harm the investigation, i.e., people lawyer up.
Harm us and harm our efforts if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate, as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I've not heard from them.
Zona Univision Madrid.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies and pharmacies around the state where they bought, per se, this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while still look for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't, maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Sunday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking them to check their logs.
Now that's really interesting.
That's why we're here tonight.
Okay, you go first.
No, you go.
So he's saying that when they were called out to the home Sunday afternoon, teams of deputies were going to the hospitals to check to see if an 84-year-old woman showed up, right? And he said they did that continuously for how long? A number of hours, or he was vague? That is different. That is different than the family calling the hospitals early maybe before deputies got there. Right, Chris?
Yep.
Because again, the family saw the doors propped open with the flower pots, blood on the front porch. Mom's things were there, Nancy's things were there, but she was missing. And so Savannah tells us that Annie started to call the hospitals. And when she's talking with Savannah, whatever time that was, a couple of hours later, Savannah started to call the hospitals in a panic, right? And what's your feeling about everybody calling the hospitals?
Well, first of all, my feeling is it was done on radio, okay, through dispatch. And so then this piece of the puzzle is, did an 84-year-old woman who can't walk 50 feet just show up at a hospital somewhere? So the assumption is the suspect drops her off at the hospital, okay, and she walks in. So they're checking the box, okay, and you don't have to do that by physically sending a deputy over there to do that, okay? Now, he may have done it the first night to check the local 3 hospitals around, because there are 3 major hospitals within 12 miles of her house. Okay. And they got there and they said, we checked our rolls. Nope. Just like the other word salad that he's been given here. Look, there's no suspect. I'd be derelict to tell you that I wouldn't keep him on the list. Okay. So this is word salad. Okay. What's important about this is who introduced this conversation. And I will submit to the jury, it was the family. Okay. It's the family. And part of the family in bucket number 2 says, well, that doesn't make sense. That mom would be taken out by the paramedics and all this other stuff. Okay. I would submit to you, it didn't make sense to them either. And so what they did is we got to check that box. So when we're ever asked down the road, well, did you check the hospitals, detective? The answer will be absolutely. And in fact, she wasn't there.
In Pima County, are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? The FBI just made an arrest on a tip that we got.
See, even he knows that he's going to have to do the curly shuffle here, because she asked him, well, why are you doing that, basically? And he answers, well, we're looking for her everywhere. Okay. Well, yeah, duh. And you can pick up the phone and call call. Here's how it goes. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Can you get me ER, please, real fast? Yeah. Who's this? Detective McDonough. So-and-so, such and such an agency. Yes, sir. Hang on. Yeah. ER, can I help you? Yeah. Is the charge nurse there? Yeah. Just a second. Hey, quick question. We're running up an 84-year-old woman. She's been missing, yada, yada. Do you have any patients here by the name of Nancy Guthrie? Just a sec. They put you on hold. Let me check the computer. How about any Jane Does? No, no Jane Does either. Okay, roger that. Thank you so much. What's your name?
That we thought there could be something here. There's it's statewide. The billboards are going to be out there across the country. We take leads from everywhere, and where those leads take us, we'll get there.
MS Now, Alex Talbot.
Agent Yankee, do you have any reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country? Is that something that you ruled out at this point?
We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there, but we have no indication anything over the Mexican border.
And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple Watch and the floodlight.
Yep.
The ransom notes that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLD, are they all the same ransom note? Do they contain the same details in each of those individual ransom notes?
The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same that went to TMZ also.
News Nation, Brian Enton.
Agent Yankee, sorry, over here.
Yes.
When did the first ransom note arrive? And the reason I ask is because the Apple Watch has been in the news and on social media, and you could see like floodlights on video. So was it before those things were out in the world?
I don't have the specific time frame as I sit here today of what time it came in, but that you are right. Anyone could see a floodlight hanging down, could have seen some of those things. The watch has been talked about, so that timing is tricky, but that's why we're taking it serious no matter what and following the leads on that. But I don't have the time frame that the first note came in as I sit here today. Thank you.
And my follow-up is for the sheriff.
Your guess is good as mine. I would say absolutely there's a possibility that this is nothing to do with a kidnapping. But we cover all angles. We're not going to dismiss something until we actually know for a fact that it's one way or the other.
Take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Okay, so now we got to listen to this very carefully again. After all that we've just seen here tonight. And by the way, this woman here, Savannah, is in a lot of pain, as are the other family members, I'm sure of it. But she's also confused. And I think there's a lot of cognitive dissonance taking place here. Meaning, what that means is two thoughts are clashing against each other. She wants to believe things, but she doesn't want to take it that far. She can't. It's too hard for her. Okay? But I think we can all agree that it just doesn't look right or feel right. And she, Savannah, knows it. Whatever that means. She understands what's going on, but she doesn't want to grasp it yet. Okay? Now, the answer or in order to solve this case, it will be pieces of technology, but it will also be interviewing, going back like we're doing here, looking at some of the cracks inside of, the 8 ball and saying to ourselves, okay, here we are. What do we have again? Okay. So listen to Savannah's answers one more time, and then we're going to take your questions. But listen now after what you've seen and understand that the sheriff saw 2 buckets. He saw the family, quote unquote, and he saw Savannah. And if you've just joined us, you've got to go back to the beginning where we separated that out. Okay? So now listen through those ears and eyes from what we just heard and what we just saw.
Yeah. The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together, and then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" Mm-hmm. And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What? Yeah. What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911. Yeah. She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things, and it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
Back to the day.
Okay, so in that particular final piece there, Savannah doesn't believe it. It doesn't make sense. She goes, "That didn't make sense." And she's a lawyer. She's a critical thinker. It doesn't make sense that the doors are propped open, that this is a medical event, that, it doesn't sound right, that the paramedics would show up at, 2:00 in the morning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. She's struggling with trying to make it make sense. Okay. And whenever you see that, or you think that, even from the family's perspective, you don't give talking points or accept them if you're the sheriff. Because now you're not objective. And you're looking through a lens that says, well, we've cleared everybody. But then on the other side of the coin, you really haven't in your mind. And you did, and they did that in the press conference. The sheriff just did that. You just saw it. Okay. And that's not fair to the family. That is not fair to the investigation. It is definitely not fair to Nancy, because if it is like a total stranger out there, which I think it's still going to be somebody associated, that's had the victim risk continuum, puts them associated somehow near that home. Now, whatever that means, I don't know, gardener, whatever, pool man, the family, whatever it means just that. But it's somebody associated with Miss Guthrie, Nancy, not with Savannah, with Nancy. And that's why they're staying in Tucson for this search. And that's why it's critical to keep, this information alive out there, because that suspect is probably watching this show right now tonight.
Interesting. Well, he'd be watching 3.5 hours, which we're at. Let's
Okay.
get some questions.
Let's go through some questions. Go ahead.
Your continued attention to this case is balm to my soul. Hope that not everyone is crazy, callous, or evil, and that maybe justice will be served. Thank you, Concepts. Marnies, if you call 911 from the house that she's missing, if 911 had been called through the night, wouldn't the 911 system have made the connection then and there? Yes. That was Chris's point earlier. Yeah, definitely. Sherles, I had no idea you could get the cops to check for any emergencies at your address. This could save a lot of important time. Yeah, it's public information.
Well, and every time you call 911 or emergency, it is cataloged in the CAD system for future law enforcement and or medical responses.
I want to know if information from the car's brain showed how many doors were open on T's car and for how long. Could it also tell what time T arrived and left?
Yes.
Thank you, Donna.
Yes, it could. And I'm sure they're gathering that information.
Skippy says, when did the county get involved? Wouldn't first response have been from the city? No, the reason Pima County would have been called is because she's probably in an unincorporated area of Pima County as opposed to city of Tucson, even though her mailing address might be Tucson, Arizona.
Thus the 10-minute response time.
Yeah. Elle Wood's mom says, I'm wondering if they ever interviewed the family, but just took their word.
Yeah,
certainly
we have
hope
the
so.
same question, right?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Chris and Karen. You are the best coverage of this case. The only coverage that makes sense. Thank you, Mitten.
Mittens.
Mama for coffee. And why is the family threatening to sue some out there trying to get answers that are questioning the investigation's due diligence? A, backwards.
Well, if they're threatening to sue, then, here come the depositions.
Yeah. And then that may not go as.
Barry Morphew tried it.
Yeah, it didn't work.
That didn't work.
Savannah calling mayor through Senator Mark Kelly noted to have engaged with law enforcement following contact from the family. Is this how you
create a script?
You create a script.
Could be. And that's why the sheriff had to make sure he was tracking it.
That's interesting. Mary says, can it be he had talking points because that's when the family received the first ransom note and didn't want the public to know?
Could be. But at that point, the family is not dictating what the sheriff does or the FBI.
The sheriff kept it a walk away to stave off the FBI as long as he could.
And shame on him if that's what he did.
Yeah. Thank you. Penny says, I think that the family wants to hide stuff.
Okay.
White Lotus says, they're trying to erase everything. Want to take memorials down. Now undercover police giving tickets to people who are stopping at her house.
What are they citing them for?
Beacon of Hope, do we know for sure that blood was seen on the porch right away? I've wondered when they actually saw it, especially since everyone goes to the garage.
Great point. But if you're looking for your mom and you had potentially 56 minutes, you would also think you would go out through the front door.
The sheriff is the most suspicious character of all. Mike, TMZ said they were going to stop publicizing notes.
Thank goodness.
Well, when did they say that? Before or after the last note that they publicized, Mike?
Hopefully. And thank you guys for your kindness here.
Porch guy, weird karate jeans, self-defense instructor? Question mark.
Great question.
Maureen O on Brian Etton's show is surprised the BAU hasn't released a profile. Family's narrative, if A&T would end Savannah's career.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. The profile is going to be somebody, pretty simple.
Sweet Georgia Peach says, gangsta sheriff is involved and was going to get a cut. FBI need to investigate him. It went bad. He botched case to help him. Okay. To help people get away with it.
Okay.
Sharon, why are Savannah and Cameron described as off the table? Because of the location. The chef isn't always at the table when the waiter serves the meal.
Great question. It would be distance, and they would tie them together if, in fact, that is the case through electronic digital footprint.
Larry asks, were any occult items left inside as a message?
Great question. That is an outstanding question.
How is this not an obstruction of justice?
Another great thought.
Mike says, is Nanos running cover for the cartels?
Probably not. The cartels aren't interested in an 84-year-old woman. The only reason I say that is too much to manage and too high pressure. It brings all this attention to them, and they don't like that at all.
Crazy Beach says, I think Savannah went back as fast as she did to New York and to work to distance herself from family because she knows something doesn't sound right.
Could be. Could definitely. That's a great comment.
Sun T Shine says, is Nanos withholding due to no body preparing for trial? 2, is he watching public P's and Q's per attorney pending charges, or is this pure dereliction?
You know, the one comment that the sheriff made that really still bothers me is he makes a comment of, we'll let the courts figure that out.
Yeah, and that, to your point, that was when he was asked at a press conference, well, you left the home too soon. You had to come back to it to open it up. Do you think, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, that could have an impact when you get a suspect at trial?
Yeah, fruit of the poisonous tree is what that's called.
Yeah, and his response was, well, we'll let the courts figure that out.
It's crazy.
Oh, Serenity says, this is what never made sense. Why did they stop looking for someone who is still missing? Thank you. We keep asking that, and to no avail. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. True Bayou, no continued searches, and the family has not come forward to ask for help with searches either. YouTubers are doing searches on their own.
Yeah, great point. Yeah. That is a solid point. And now it sounds like they're sending the cops out there to get them out of there.
Which is terrible.
It's horrible.
That's just craziness.
Is there anything else that could go nuts on this thing?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Jen says, there are too many red flags. It makes no sense as to why he turned every reputable organization away when they offered to help. I truly believe he's involved somehow. Thank you both for your dedication to this case.
Yeah, we sure appreciate that comment. And thank you for your kindness. Left her off.
Yeah. Penny says, if I were Savannah, I would have been asking for the Cajun Navy to search and everyone and anyone to continue looking for her. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, we've all wondered why that has not occurred.
Yeah, we're still asking those questions. Nancy deserves justice regardless of the sheriff. Her family's behavior is sus. Protecting themselves, hiding their faces, controlling the narrative. Is this helping their mom? I hope it is.
Thank you.
I like Chris's analysis, but the constant sheriff bashing feels political and distracts from Nancy. Otherwise, I enjoy the show.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I hate pointing out the sheriff's problems. But I think we also need a straight shooter who tells it the way it is. And trust me, I do not like telling it the way it is when it involves seeing things that law enforcement is doing wrong. And I think you would expect that from your community. I mean, the fact that unfortunately the guy hid his resume and he did some things when he was a young officer that he should have never, ever been the sheriff in that county, in my opinion. I wouldn't have worked next to him based on what I know.
And he may not have ever been hired by Pima County had they known about 37 disciplinary actions against him as a young officer in El Paso. And that's the reality.
But we appreciate your objective comment there. Thank you.
Martha says, back to the sheriff's talking points. How about the double entendre? Quote, I want to make sure I cover them or cover for them. Yeah, good catch.
Good catch.
Lizzie, a look of total disdain on the FBI guy's
I know
face.
that's was that worth $1,000 on that those looks?
Sheriff needs to lose his job over this, in my opinion. Thank you, Lisa Boo.
And the voters can make that difference.
That's right. Can no-nads be removed for malfeasance, or do they still need a recall to boot him?
That's a great question. I know he was held accountable recently by the county.
The County Board of Supervisors has said if he doesn't respond to their list of questions for him, they can consider removing him from office.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Pretty serious. Yeah. This is from Chris. Do you think he's shrewd enough to play the family like that? I always felt he was starstruck over Savannah and trying to make her happy. He did. It did come off. He sent vibes like Sheriff Nanos sent vibes like that based on these press conferences and what he said publicly.
Yeah. Good point.
Sheriff says, is Nanos protecting A&T to impress the celebrity? Narcissists are impressed by celebrities.
Interesting.
That's a great point.
That's a great point. We're going to have the panel together on Sunday, and we'll ask Dr. Gary.
Yeah, let's ask him on that. Why haven't FBI given formal suspect profile to help?
Probably, yeah, right. What we talked about, Chibs. So great comment.
Where is the family? Where are they searching? Where are the pictures of the possible suspects, sketches, possible car descriptions? Let's find her. If you were Nancy's child, what would you be doing?
Everything.
Great point. All of the above and anything else we could think of. It's a solid question. Yeah. Mike says, I think FBI has mostly left the case, tired of Nanos.
I hope not, Mike.
Yeah, we hope not. No law enforcement looked anywhere close to good on this case.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think some of the guys and gals obviously the new detectives, that was disturbing when we heard that from Cross and others. But anyway.
Chris says, Savannah got the call at 2 p.m. New York time. That would be noon Arizona time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for correcting that for me.
Which then you have to ask ourselves, if they've already called all the hospitals, how
could they have done it that quickly?
What time did they do that?
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah. You should get Sheriff Grady Judd on sometime.
Yeah, that guy's, he's like, what's his face? What was the guy down there?
Arpaio?
Oh yeah, Joe Arpaio.
But he was Maricopa County.
Yeah.
He famously put the prisoners in, wasn't it pink stripes?
Pink
to try to humiliate the.
And they made him sleep outside in tents.
Yeah, that guy was legend. I'm not saying one way or the other, good or bad. I'm just saying, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Beacon of Hope.
Back to Beacon of Hope. The time the church friends called Annie has never been on the timeline. I think it was 11:15ish. Was 2 p.m. call to Savannah Mountain or Eastern? Thank you, Chris and Karen. Yeah, good question. Good point.
That would have been
yeah.
Mountain time, right? For that part of Arizona, Tucson. If she called, so that would have been 4 on the East Coast, or does she call at noon, and then that would have been 2 on the East Coast?
The only thing about that, if Savannah received the call at 2 p.m. and it was noon for Annie, how much longer? And we know that the sheriff's deputies didn't even get there till about 12:15, 12:20. And then Annie, according to Savannah, Annie said, well, we'd already called the hospitals. And then Savannah said, I started calling the hospitals.
911. She said she'd already called 911. They're already there. The cops are there.
So the phone call couldn't have been placed before 2:15 New York time.
Right. Okay. It's a shame the FBI didn't take over. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll find some kind of connection that puts them in the driver's seat.
I always wonder why Savannah asks Annie, is everything okay? When she calls, makes me wonder if they don't usually call each other too often. Your thoughts?
Do you talk to your sister? We talked about the dynamics of the sisters.
Yeah, you would think they would, if somebody's making that phone call, you pick up and you would say, hey, sibling, mom's missing. I'm in a panic. What? Et cetera, et cetera. If Savannah distanced herself
Isn't she
from
beautiful and smart?
Tomas, thank you, honey. Tomas and Annie, that's a tell. Yep. Did Nancy have life alert? Why no security?
Great question.
We haven't heard that she had life alert. No. Why hasn't the FBI given a presser or released a profile? I know a lot of people are asking that question.
Yeah.
It's a legit question to be asking for sure at this point.
Very
60 we're at 68 days in today.
Well, maybe the next big presser, they'll announce they've got some leads, because at some point they got to get to that point where they say, okay, you got to kick the beehive, whatever that means. Crime Time 411. Thank you so much for always being here. We're so grateful for you.
Nanos asking the public to help at the first presser, then takes away any public information. Egotistical power trip or protecting evidence. Thank you so much for a great show. Thank you.
Thank you for always being with us.
Thank you for that, Ormond. Itty Bitty, thank you for gifting a TIR membership. We appreciate that.
I love Itty Bitty.
Chris Hall says, CG owns townhomes 4 miles away.
Okay. All right. Final thoughts. What are you thinking tonight? What are you guys thinking tonight? Final thoughts.
There's a lot here,
That
a
was
lot
all
to
the
go
questions.
back over. And we're going to continue to ask the questions. We're going to ask the tough questions. We're going to continue to ask Pima County Sheriff's Office for the questions. And we're staying on this. We know you would expect us to ask the tough questions. And we're not implicating anybody. Again, our job is to raise the points, ask the questions, and hopefully at some point we're going to get these questions answered by Sheriff Nanos and or somebody at Pima County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah.
We got one more here. Sharon says maybe Guthries were told Nancy had passed. Then videos saying they understand used celebrate with mom as the only way for peace. And then the septic tank was searched.
Yeah. It's, we just feel it's just horrible. Hey, can we ask a favor for everybody? If you would hit the thumbs up to get the algorithm moving. There's 22,000 people here watching us tonight. And if you could just hit that for us. And if you've not subscribed, would you hit the subscribe button? That's the only thing we ask. And we're so grateful that each and every one of you have been with us tonight. We've got another great show coming Sunday night. Don't miss it. We put the panel together and we're going to talk about, a couple more things to keep Nancy's out there in the press. Thank you, our mods. As we always say, we're going to go to Hawaii here in a second. Biakamai. That means pay attention what's going on around you and continue to take care of one another. With that, Buddy, who's right behind us, says have a great night, and we will see you on the next one. Aloha, everybody. Take care.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away, you and me, go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze we're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in a while.